Alright guys, so now we are at the point where we are going to be building our own design system in React.js, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open my terminal, and now let me just zoom in a bit so you guys can see everything a bit better, like so. I'm going to create a new folder with name of my own design system. Now let me go ahead and go to that my own design system folder, like so, and I'm going to open there in my VS Code. And this is how it looks like. So I'm going to open my terminal, and first of all we have to initialize our GitHub repository. If you want to do that, you can, but if you don't want to do that, you don't even have to do that. Now we are going to be using another command, which will be the yarn set version berry. Basically it's going to use us the latest version of the yarn. Okay, so now let me open my sidebar right here. So it's going to install the latest version of yarn, and chances are if you are watching this course in the future, the version of yarn will be totally changed, and that's totally my guarantee, it will be changed. And now we are using yarn 4.6.0, but as long as you are using like yarn set berry version, that's going to be completely fine. So that's done. Now the next thing that we have to do is that we have to create our mono repo. So first of all, we are going to be creating our packages folder, and inside this packages folder we are going to be defining our own packages. So I'm going to go ahead and first of all start from the first one, which will be the foundation package, foundation, like so. We are going to be also creating another package for the React.js, and also we are going to be creating a package for the storybook, like so, and in which we are going to be writing our stories, and you will see that in a few seconds. But now we are going to be going into this foundation folder, and we have to initialize that as a package. So I'm going to open my terminal, and now I am currently inside my own DS package, which is now the root. So now you want to go into the packages and then the foundation folder. So I'm going to use like cd and then the packages folder. Then you want to go to the foundation folder, and now we are going to be using like yarn init. And now if I hit enter, so it's going to initialize my yarn right here. So if I open there, here you can see we are now getting this package.json and also readme.md, and we are now getting like the name of foundation and also the package manager. So now let me just close there. That's totally done. Now the next thing that we have to do is that we also have to go into this React package and also initialize that. Okay, so I'm going to open my terminal once again. We are now inside the foundation package, so I'm going to go back from there, cd dot dot, and now we are going to be going into cd to the React folder, and now we are going to be using yarn init right here. So if I do that, now let me just close there. Now if I expand this React folder, so we still have this package.json and also this readme.md inside both of these folders. Okay, so now let me just close there. Now we are going to be going into the storybook folder, and we are going to be initializing there as a private package. So how we are going to be doing there? First of all, we have to get out from this React.js. Now we are inside this packages folder, and now we are going to be going into the storybook package. So I'll just write like storybook, and now let me just hit enter, and now we are going to be using like yarn init and then dash dash private, because we want to initialize there as a private package, which we are not going to be pushing there to like anywhere. Now let me just open this package.json file. So here you can see we are now providing this private label right here, which means like this package is totally private, which means like we are going to be only able to use them inside this packages folder, but nowhere else. So now that's totally done. Now the next thing that we have to do is that we have to make the as an actual mono repo. So I'm going to just double click on there, and here we are going to be passing our workspaces. So now let me go to the, yeah, we are now at the same place. And now I'm going to just use like workspaces, and we have to tell a specific workspace, which will be that packages folder, and every single thing inside that packages folder, packages, and which is that packages folder right here. That's totally done. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to provide our aliases. So I'm going to go to the foundation package, and now I'm going to just write like the alias of Hussein. Come on. Hussein DS, and that's going to be it. If you are using some other package, like if you want to provide your own name, you totally can, but my recommendation will be to at least provide my name, because I'm going to be using some commands and you will just get confused. So at least if you are watching this course, please provide my name, and then later if you want to change there, you totally can. So I'm going to copy there from here, save my, now let me just hover my mouse over to there, and you won't be getting this error. So now let me just add that, save my file. Now I'm going to be going into this React package, open my package.json from there, and place there right here this Hussein DS and React.js. Now let me go ahead and go to this storybook, then package.json, and also place there right here, save my file and close there. Now I want to explain one more thing about what do we call it, mono repos. So let me just zoom in a bit. Here you can see this storybook package is now dependent upon the React.js and also this foundation package. So now inside this foundation package, we are going to be using, or we are going to be building or design tokens, and we are going to be also using those design tokens inside this React components, and then we are going to be visualizing them by using this storybook. So both of these packages are super important for this storybook, and this storybook is dependent upon these two packages. So now let me just highlight there right now, and let's just right click on there. Then I'm gonna go into the set color, and I'm gonna change some color of there. You don't even have to do that because I want to do that. I'm showing you there. I'm gonna just choose this fuchsia color, and now let me just click on there. So I want to say like these two packages are super important for this storybook, and now we are going to be adding both of these packages to this storybook. So for there we are going to be using this command. So now let me just go back, and first of all you want to go into the yarn workspace, and we want to access Hosn.ds and then the storybook, okay, which will be storybook package like so. So now what do we want to add? So I'll just use this add. We want to add React.js and also the foundation package. So I'm going to just use like Hosn.ds, and we want to just add the React.js, and we also want to add Hosn.ds and then the foundation package. So now if I hit enter, so it's going to just install all of their packages inside this storybook right here. So if I click on there, now we are getting the dependencies of Hosn.ds foundation and also Hosn.ds React.js. So that's totally done. And now we also know that React.js is also dependent upon this foundation package. Like we are going to be building or design tokens inside this foundation package, which we are going to be using inside this React package. So now we have to install this foundation package inside this React.js. So how in the world we are going to be doing that? Well, we have to open our terminal. Let me just go back from there, and now we are going to be just using our yarn bin workspace. And now we are going to be accessing first of all Hosn.ds and React.js, and we want to add something called the Hosn.ds and then the foundation package. So now let me just hit enter. So it's going to install there inside this React package. So you know, let me just delete that, or maybe change the color of that. So I'll just change. Okay, so how in the world we are going to be even changing the color? Let me just remove that from there, and that's done. Okay, so now here you can see if I go ahead and go to this React.js and go to the package.json. So what are we getting? We are now getting these dependencies, and inside there we are now getting like Hosn.ds for design system foundation, and we are now attaching this workspace to there. That's totally done. And next we are going to be adding a TypeScript for our project. So that was it about the basic setup, and now we are going to be installing a TypeScript inside this entire mono repo. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open my terminal, and I'm now inside the root, as you can see there right here, and I'm gonna just use like yarn add and then -d as a dev dependency TypeScript. So now if I just hit enter, so it's gonna install there inside the root. Now let me just show you there. Okay, so if I go ahead and go to the packages, so here you can see we are now getting this TypeScript version, and by the time you are watching this video, obviously this version will be changed. Okay, so that's done. Now we are going to be installing the inside this foundation package, then we are going to be installing the inside the React, and finally inside the storybook. So now let me go ahead and install the inside this foundation package. So I'm going to open my terminal once again, and I'm going to write like yarn and then workspace, and then in which workspace you want to install there. So I'm going to use like Hosn.ds for Hosn design system. I'm going to go into first of all the React.js, or you know, first of all let me go to the foundation package, and we are going to be adding there as a dev dependency, and I'm going to just write like TypeScript, so it's going to add there. Now let me go back, and this is how it looks like. So now let me just hit enter. So it's going to install there inside the foundation package. Let me go ahead and show you there. If I go to the foundation package, and here you can see we are now getting this TypeScript right here. Now let me also go ahead and go to the React package, and we are going to be installing there inside the React. So once again I'm going to be using like yarn workspace, and then I'm going to go into Hosn.ds and then React.js, and we are going to be adding there as a dev dependency TypeScript. So now let me just hit enter. So it's going to install there inside the React package as well. Now let me use like yarn workspace. I'm going to go ahead and go to Hosn.ds and then the storybook. Now we are going to be adding there as a dev dependency TypeScript. So now let me just hit enter. So it's going to install there inside both of these packages. So if I go ahead and go to the React.js, here you can see we are now getting the TypeScript. If I go into the storybook, here you can see we are also getting there right here. Now we also have to create our tsconfig file inside the root. So I'm going to just double click on the root, and I'm going to give it the name of like tsconfig.json. Let me just zoom in a bit, and this is how it looks like. Now let me just hit enter, and now inside there we are going to be providing a few compiler options. So first of all, let's start from the compiler option. So compiler option, there we go. So the first thing is we want to allow JavaScript, and we want to set that to true, and then allow synthetic default import, which is this one right here, and I'm going to set that to true. I'm going to also provide the strict mode and true. Let's just provide the no implicit any. Okay, so we're going to be also setting that to true, and then for the strict null checking, we are going to be also setting that to true. I'm going to be also forcing the consistent casing in files. So I'll just use like force, come on, FORCE, consistent casing in files, and true. No fall through cases in switch. So I'll use like no fall through cases in switch and set that to true. No unused local variables. So I'll write like no unused locals, and I'm going to set that to true. I'm going to also provide the module resolution, which will be also set to true. So module resolution, and that's going to be not that's going to be set to node, not true. Isolated module will be also set to true. So isolated module and set that to true. I'm going to be also providing a down level iteration, so which is level iteration, and I'm going to set that to true. Declaration will also be set to true, and the remove comments when we want to build it, that's going to be set to false, and the source map will be set to true. Going to be also providing a lib. We want to use the lib like ESNext, and we also want to use the DOM. Okay, so now underneath them, we are going to be providing a base URL, and that's going to be only set to dot, which means like the root. And I'm going to also specify the paths. So these paths will be set to this path like Hussein DS, and now we want to go inside there, and here we want to set that to the packages. So I'll just use like packages, and every single thing inside the packages, and then inside the lib. Okay, so first of all, let me just provide a comma there, and that's totally done. I'm going to also provide a comma there, and then ES module, come on, module into repo, and that's going to be set to true. I'm going to be also providing a skip lib checking as well, and that's going to be set to true. And then resolve JSON module. Okay, so let's just remove that and resolve JSON module and set that to true. Experimental declaration will also be set to true. We are going to be also providing the no emit error, not this one. No emit, that's going to be set to true. Then the strict function types will also be set to true. Let's just set that to true. And now underneath there, we are going to be excluding a few files. So I'll just write like exclude, and we are going to be excluding the node modules folder, modules, and also we are going to be excluding every single thing. Let's just write two stars and then .test every single thing, like all of the file which will have this test file. Okay, so you just want to exclude there. So that was it about the main root configuration for the TypeScript. Now let me just go back, and this is how it looks like. If you want to copy that from my GitHub repository, you totally can. Or if you want to pause the video and type there by yourself, you can also type there. Now let me just close that from here. I'm going to go ahead and go to my packages, then I'm going to go into my React package, and here we are going to be creating a new file with the name of tsconfig. So tsconfig.json, and here we are going to be first of all extending our own configuration which we just created. So we are going to be using like extends, and we are going to be grabbing there from, let's just go ahead and go to the root, and then we are going to be grabbing there from the tsconfig.json file. So now let me just save my file. If I hold control and click on there, so it's going to brings us to this root tsconfig.json file right here. Okay, so we are now taking like every single thing which is available inside this root, we are now taking there, and now we are going to be adding a few more. Okay, so I'll just provide a comma, and let's just add a few more compiler options for the React.js. So we are going to be providing a base URL, and the base URL will be going into the src folder which we are going to be creating in a few seconds. In the outer directory, like when we build this, we are going to be using like outer directory, and we want to go to the lib folder. Okay, so we are going to be also providing a down level iteration. So let's just write like down level iteration, and now let me just set that to true. We are going to be also providing a target, and target will be set to ESNext. This is also provide the JSX, And here we are going to be providing the React JSX because we are now going to be using JSX inside this package. Let us also provide the module, and module will be set to ES next. Okay, so now we are going to be also providing a ES module into repo, set that to true, and also allow JavaScript, obviously true, and then the strict mode will also be set to true. And now underneath there we are going to be including a few files, and then we are going to be excluding a few files. So now let me just include there, like we want to only include the src folder, and now we are going to be excluding a few folders, so like exclud, and we want to exclude first of all the node modules folder, and we also want to exclude every single thing which is inside the test file. Okay, so we are not going to be writing any tests for this repo, but if you want to write there, you totally can, and that will not be included here. That will be totally exclude. We also want to exclude the lib folder, and now let me just save there. And that's totally it about the React TS config right here. So if you want to write there by yourself, you totally can, but if you want to copy there from my GitHub repository, you can also copy there. So now let me just close there. Now let me go ahead and just create a simple component so that we can check whether the TypeScript is working or not. So I'm going to just go ahead and go to my React folder, and we are going to be creating another folder with the name of src, and inside there let's just create our index.ts file inside there, and I'm going to just use like some simple component like greet, and it's going to take a name of a person, and that's going to be totally a string. And now let's just write like render first of all the person name, and then person name, or we are going to be showing the word right here. Okay, so now underneath them we have to also provide this colon right here, which means like our TypeScript is now successfully working. If I don't specify there, it expect this colon. So now let me just provide there, and here you can see our TypeScript is now working the way we expect him to work. So now let me just use like export default and then greet component, and now let me just save my file. And yeah, our TypeScript is now successfully working. And now let me just build this so that we can see there. I'm gonna go ahead and go to this React package, and inside this React package we are going to be going into this package.json file. Okay, so here we are going to be also creating a script for ourselves. So I'll just write like scripts, and here inside there I'll just write a build script for ourselves. And now currently we are going to be only building our TSC, like only our TypeScript configuration. So now let me just save my file, close them, and now watch what happens right here. I'm gonna open my terminal right now, and now let's just go back. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the packages, then the React.js, and here I'm gonna be using yarn build. And now if I hit enter, so it's gonna build there right here inside this lib folder. So now let me just zoom in a bit, and here you can see we have this lib folder, and inside there we have our index.js file, and yup, it is working the way we expect it to work. And these are our TypeScript declaration file. So that's totally working. I'm gonna delete this folder right now. And that was it about the TypeScript. So that was it about the TypeScript. Now we are going to be adding our design token inside this foundation package. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna open my terminal right here, and I'm gonna be using yarn workspace, and then we are going to be going into the Hossein.ds and then the foundation package right here. Okay, so we are going to be adding as a dev dependency style dictionary because it will allows us to transform our design tokens into meaningful code. So we are going to be using like style dictionary, and now let me just add there. So it's going to install there inside the foundation package. So it's going to take a bit of time, and I'm going to fast forward the video. Oh, it just installed there, so I don't have to fast forward the video. And next we are going to be adding our design tokens inside this foundation package. Now let me just even check there. Yep, we are now getting our style dictionary version 4 or something, and by the time you are watching this video you are going to be getting some new version. Now let me go ahead and just create a new folder with the name of src inside the foundation package, and then we are going to be creating a new file inside there which will be a tokens file. So I'll just write like tokens, and inside this tokens folder we are going to be adding a few more files. So first of all we are going to be adding our colors.json, and here we are going to be placing all of our colors which we already designed in the Figma section of this course. So now let me just place this, save my file, and as you can see right here, first of all we have our JSON object, then inside there we have our color. So first of all we have our primary color, then we have a different variations of those color, like we have 950, then we have 900 through 50. So now let me just show you there. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back. So that is my primary color. If I can hide there, then we have our neutral color, then we have our warning, then danger color, success color, and grayscales right here. I'm gonna also hover over there, and I'm gonna add there two my workspace like so. So now let me just save my file, and that's totally done. I'm gonna also close there. Now we are going to be adding our radius tokens. I'm gonna right click on there and just write like radius.json, and here we're going to be placing our radius tokens. I'll just place that right here, save my file. So here you can see, first of all, we have our radius, and inside there we have our tiny radius, then extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, super large, huge, gigantic, and full radius is right here. Okay, so now we are going to be also placing this in my file. I'm going to be also creating yet another file with the name of opacities. So opacities.json, and in this file we are going to be placing all of these opacities. So first of all, we have our opaque, then we have the semi-opaque, then transparent, light transparent, very transparent. Now let me close this file. Now we are going to be adding yet another file which will be for the shadows. So I'll just write like shadows, or just, yeah, shadows.json would be fine. Now let me also place it right here, save my file. So it's going to give us a few warnings. Now let me just add there. So here you can see we have our shadows object, and inside there we have our extra small shadow, then we have a small shadow, then medium shadow, then large shadow, and extra large shadow. Let's just close this file, and finally we are going to be adding our spacing. So I'll just create a new file with the name of spacing, or spacing.json. Okay, and inside there, let me just save this file. So first of all, we have a 4 spacing, then we have a 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48, 52, 56, 60, 64, 68, 72, 76, 80, 84, 88, 92, 96, and finally we have a 100. Okay, so yeah, that's also my entire spacing. And next we are going to be using a style dictionary to make an actual code out of there, like the Sass code, also the CSS code, and also the JavaScript code. So to do that, first of all, we are going to be going into the foundation root, which is this folder. I'm going to right click on there and create a new file with the name of style dictionary, dictionary, styledictionary.config.js file, and inside there we are going to be providing a few configuration for our style dictionary. So I'll use like module.export. So module, oh my god, module, if I can get there today, and then exports, and here we're going to be passing our source first of all. So let's just add there source, and then source will be set to we want to go ahead and go to this src folder, and then we want to go to this tokens folder, which is this src, and then the tokens folder, you want to go there, and every single thing inside there which ends with the .json extension, so we want to go there. That's going to be our source. Now we are going to be building there for different platforms. We are going to be using like platforms, and here inside these platforms, first of all, we are going to be building there for the SCSS. So I'll just write like SCSS, but why in the world I'm providing these codes right here? Let me just close there, and we don't have to provide these codes. So first of all, we're going to be building there for the SCSS, and I'm going to just write like transform group. So transform, and we're going to be transforming there first of all for the SCSS, and now let me provide my build path, and we are going to be building there inside the lib folder. So we want to create a tokens folder for there, and we specifically want to output there on the SCSS folder. Okay, so that's totally done. We're going to be also providing our files type and also the extensions. So first of all, let me just go ahead and remove there and change there to array, and inside there we're going to be adding our object. Let me just add my destination, destination, and the destination will be this tokens.css file, or SCSS rather, SCSS. There we go. We are going to be also providing our format, so it will format there as a SCSS, and then the variables like so. So now let me just save this file right now. Now we are going to be adding our CSS configuration. So I'll just write like CSS, and then we are going to be providing our transform group, and now that's going to be set to the CSS, because in this case we are going to be transforming there to the CSS. Now let's just provide our build path, and we are going to be going into the lib folder, then the tokens folder, then the CSS. Now let me just add my files. So for these files, we are going to be providing our destination first of all, destination destination. That's going to be set to our tokens.css in this case, and the format will look like this. First of all, the CSS folder, then the variables like so. I'm going to save this file right now. Underneath there, we are going to be also providing the JavaScript source configuration. So I'll just write like JS and then src, and here inside there we are going to be providing our transform group, and that's going to be set to our JavaScript. We are going to be also providing our build path, and build path will be set to src, then the tokens folder, then the JavaScript folder, like so. Okay, so we are going to be also providing our files, and the files will look something like this. So let's just provide our name, and the name in this case we are going to be going into this tokens folder, and then we are going to be providing our JS src. Like for the JavaScript, we are going to be adding there inside this tokens folder. Okay, so I'll just provide like tokens. We are going to be also providing our destination, which looks something like this. Like we're going to be writing our tokens.js in this case, and the format will look something like this. We're going to be writing our JavaScript folder and then the module, or just a module, a singular. And now underneath there, let's just add a pure JavaScript. So in that case, we're going to be writing our transform group, which will be set to just a pure JavaScript. And we're going to be also providing our build path, and build path will go into the lib folder, and then we are going to be going into the tokens folder, then the JavaScript folder, and that's going to be it. Okay, so now we're going to be also providing our files, and files will first of all provide the name, and then the name will be set to tokens. The destination will be set to tokens.js, and also the format will be set to JavaScript, and that's totally done. That was about the entire configuration for the style dictionary. So if you want to write there by yourself, you totally can, but if you want to go to my GitHub repository and copy all of that from there, you can also do that. So now that's totally done. I'm going to also go into inside this foundation package. We're going to be going into this package.json, and here I'll just write a script for myself. So I'll just use like script. First of all, we are going to be building a tokens, so I'll just write like build tokens, and that's going to be set to the style dictionary, DICTIONARY style dictionary. We are going to be building them, and then provide our config, and then style dictionary, DICTIONARY, and then config.js file. So we are going to be first of all building there, and then we are going to be building the entire project by using yarn build tokens. Like we also want to use this command right here, and now we are going to be also providing the TSC, like also build the TypeScript. Okay, so I'll just write like TSC, and that's going to be it. Now let me just save my file right now, close there, close this file, and for now we are going to be only building these tokens. So I'm going to open my terminal, and I'm going to use like yarn build tokens, and now if I hit enter right now, we are now inside this React.js. So we have to go into first of all the foundation package, and I'm going to use yarn build tokens, and if I hit enter right now, it's going to take a bit of time, and now it's going to build there, and all of that are now successfully built. So it's going to give us the SCSS folder, it's going to also give us the CSS folder, the JSSRC folder, and also the JavaScript folder. So now let me go ahead and go to this lib first of all, and here inside there we are now getting these different tokens. So if I go to the CSS, here you can see we have our tokens.css, and it's going to generate all of that design tokens for us. So here you can see we have our primary token, then the neutral, and we have the warning, danger, success, and we have the grayscale. We also have the different opacities, radiuses, and the different shadows, spacing, and you name it. So that's going to be it for the tokens.css file. We can also go ahead and go to the JS file, and this is how our JavaScript file will look like. So first of all, we have a primary, and then we have a 100, and now we can go to the bottom. It's going to give us different colors, as you can see right here, and you name it. Now we are going to be also going into this SCSS file, and here you can see it's going to also generate the sass variables for us. So it's going to also generate a sass variables, and I'm going to close there, and that's totally done. Next, we are going to be adding our Tailwind CSS setup. Okay, so now we are going to be adding our Tailwind preset. So I'm going to collapse every single thing. I'm going to go into the packages folder, then the foundation folder, then the SRC folder, and now here we are going to be adding our Tailwind presets. So I'll just right click on there, create a new file with the name of TDP, like the Tailwind design preset, then .config.js, and inside there we are going to be first of all importing our design tokens from the JavaScript folder. So I'll just write like tokens, and it's going to be equals to required. And if you guys don't know what a required is, you don't have to worry about that, because required is a Node.js thing, and you don't have to worry about that. So basically this is just a older way of using the import statement. Like nowadays we use this import something from somewhere, but we used to use this require statement. So it will require a lot more configuration to use this statement, like use the import something something. So that's the only reason I'm using this older way. Okay, so we are going to be first of all going into the tokens folder, which is this tokens folder right here. And now inside there we have our .js token right here. And inside this .js token we have our tokens.js file, and it is mess. Let me just show you there. Okay, so first of all, we are going to be going into the tokens folder, then the JavaScript folder, and then the tokens.js. We don't have to provide the .js right here. I'm going to save this file right now. And now I'm going to write a bit more JavaScript code, which looks something like this. Now let me just save my file. This is basically a function which will flatten our object. You can learn more about that if you wanted to, but I don't want to waste your time. Now let me just show you what this function does. Here you can see inside this tokens.js file, we have a huge object. First of all, we have the colors, then we have each variation for different color, and then we have a different value, and which is a nested object. Like this is object 1, this is object 2, this is object 3, this is object 4, and this is object 5, and so much more. So now to flatten there, we are going to be using this utility which will allows us to flatten our object. Okay, so if you want to write there by yourself, you totally can. If you want to copy there from my GitHub repository, you can also do there. So I'm going to just hide there right now. And here we are going to be using module.export. So let's just use module, and here we are going to be providing .exports, and it's going to be equals to this object. So first of all, we are going to be adding some prefix. If you want to provide this prefix, you totally can, but if you don't want to provide there, you don't even have to provide this. So I'll just use like prefix, and I'm going to prefix there with my own name, which is Hussein. So basically, let me just show you like why we're adding there. Basically, whenever we are just creating some component, I'm going to go into the React component right here, and then we're going to be using some sort of a, let me just use like RAFCE. You don't have to write this code, by the way. And we're going to be providing some class names, and for each class names, like if you want to use the Tailwind CSS, so you will just write like background blue of 500, like so, or 400. But if you want to use your own design system class, so first of all you would have to write Hussein, then you would write a background, then blue, and then 500 or 400 right here. So that's the only reason we are now adding this prefix right here. Okay, so if you want to provide there, you can, but you don't have to. So now let me just save there and close that right here. And now we are going to be adding our theme. And first of all, we have to add our colors so that we can use our own colors. And we are going to be wrapping there first of all inside the flatten values, which is this function. So now I'm going to copy the name of that and place it right here. And we want to first of all flatten the values of tokens and then a specific colors from that token. So what am I doing right here? First of all, let me just go into this folder. So we are now providing those tokens, as you can see right here, which will be a huge object. And now from that tokens, we want to specifically provide that colors, which are these colors right here. Now let me just collapse there. Then we are going to be adding the opacities, then we are going to be adding the radiuses, and then finally we are going to be adding the shadows and spacing. Okay, so this is how we are going to be adding there. So now that was it about for the tokens.colors. And now we are going to be also providing a border radius. So let's just use like border radius, and here we are going to be using that flatten value as our tokens dot what do we call it, radius right here. We're going to be also providing our spacing, not tokens dot spacing, but just a spacing. And spacing will be set to flatten value, and let's space our tokens dot spacings right here. Okay, I'm going to be also providing a box shadow, and box shadow will use this flatten value. And here we are going to be using like tokens.shadow, and now that's going to be it. We are going to be also providing our font family, which will just use like an enter font. But if you want to provide your own font, you totally can. Okay, so let's just use like sans, and that's going to be set to this enter font. Enter like this. And now for the plugins, we are not going to be writing any plugins, but now let me just even provide the plugins, and that's going to be set to just empty array. Now let me save this file right now. And that's everything that you have to do for adding a Tailwind preset. Okay, so now we have to build this foundation package so that we can consume them in other packages. So I'm going to close there. I'm going to collapse every single thing. I'm going to go into the packages folder, then the foundation. And now here we are going to be adding first of all our tsconfig for our TypeScript. So I'll just create a new file with the name of tsconfig.json. And inside there, we are going to be adding a few configurations. So first of all, we have to even extend the existing configuration, which will be available inside the root. So I'll just write like tsconfig.json. I'm going to hold control and click on there. So it's going to bring us to this root configuration. I'm going to close it right now. Let me provide my comma there, and we are going to be adding our own configuration, which will be compiler options. And let's just add our basic base URL, and which will be set to, let's just go ahead and go to the source. And for the output directory, so I'll just write like output directory, we're going to be adding that to the lib. Okay, so let's just add that to the lib. And also we are going to be including one more file, so let's just use like a include, and we are going to be including that src folder. Now let me just save my file, and that's going to be it for the tsconfig about this foundation package. And now you want to go ahead and go to this package.json file, which is available inside this foundation package. And inside there, let me just go back first of all so you guys can see everything a bit better. We have to add one more script, and that's going to be it. So we will just write like build style dictionary, and if you want to do that, you totally can, but you don't have to. Okay, so I'll just use like style dictionary, and now we are going to be building the config, and then style, come on, style dictionary, and then .config.js right here. Now let me just save this file right now. Now I'm going to be also adding two more things. So first of all, we have to add the main, and main will be this. First of all, we have to go into the lib folder. Inside the lib folder, we have our index.js file, and now we are going to be also adding a types. So types will be available inside the lib folder, which it will gives us when we build this package. So now it's going to be available inside the lib, and then index.d.ts. Okay, so now let me just save my file, and there's totally it. Close there. Now here inside this src, we are going to be creating yet another file, which will be index.ts. And inside there, we are going to be importing all of our tokens from the JS tokens, and now we have to export this so we can use there. Now let me just save this file right now, and finally let me just zoom in a bit, and we are going to be building this entire foundation package. Okay, so let's just remove these tokens. Should I remove? Yeah, I'm gonna just remove them from there. I'm gonna also go to this src, then go to the tokens. I'm gonna also delete this JS folder. Okay, so just delete that, and now we are going to be building this foundation package. So I'm gonna open my terminal, and I'm going to use like yarn and then build. Okay, let me just go back, yarn build, and hit enter. So now it's gonna build that in a few seconds. So yep, we are now getting there. And now if we go ahead and go to this lib folder, we have our tokens, we have our index.js, index.d.ts, and configuration, and so on and so forth. So this is how we are going to be building our package, and now we are totally ready to consume this package inside the React package right here. Okay, so that was about the foundation package, and now we are going to be taking care of the React package. So first of all, we have to install React.js, and also the what we call a React DOM, and also their types, and then we would be able to use there. So I'm going to go back, and now we are going to be going into the React package, or we don't even have to do that because we are going to be using a yarn workspaces. So we just have to write like yarn and then workspace, and then we want to go into this Hosend.js and React.js, and we want to add as a dev dependency React.js and React DOM. Okay, so now let me just hit enter. So it's going to install that inside our React package. Now we are going to be also adding, let's just go ahead and go to our Hosend.js and also React.js. So we are going to be also adding as a dev dependency the types for React.js and also the types for the React DOM. So I'll just use like React DOM, and now let me just hit enter. So it's going to also install that. Let's just close there. Now let me go ahead and go to my React package, and here you can see we are now going to be getting this types and also React.js and React.js DOM, or just React DOM right here. Okay, now we are going to be also adding a peer dependencies, and peer dependencies are those dependencies which will be used by our consumer, like the people who are using our package or our design system. So I'll just write like peer dependency. God damn it, peer dependencies. It is challenging like speaking and typing at the same time. So we are going to be adding React.js, and we want that to have at least greater version of 16.8.0 of React.js, and also the React DOM, it should have the greater version of greater than or equal to 16.8.0 version. Now let me just save this file right now, and this is how we are going to be adding our peer dependencies. Close there. We also don't need this pnp.cjs file. Let's just delete there. We also don't need this pnp.loader.mjs file. Let's just also delete there. And now we are going to be going into this YAML file, and we are going to be only adding our node linker, and node linker will be equals to this node modules. Okay, so now let me just save this file right now, and that's totally it about the React package. So that's totally done. Now let me go ahead and go to my React package. Then I'm going to go into the src folder, and here I'm going to just remove this index.ts file, and I'm going to be creating a component with the name of button.tsx, and I'll just use my arrayfc inside this, save my file, and JSX element implicitly has type of any. This because we already added React.js, but we now have to install all of their packages. So to install that, I'm gonna go ahead and go outside from this React. So I'll just use like cd dot dot. I'm gonna also go ahead and go outside from this packages folder. So I'll just use like cd dot dot, and here I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna just use like yarn install. And now if I hit enter, so now it's gonna give us that node modules folder right here, and that's gonna be it. So now let's just close there. Now let me go ahead and go to my button.tsx, and that's working the way we expect them to work. And now here I'll just write like props, and here I'm going to also remove that from here, and I'm going to just write like button, close that like this, and now we are going to be spreading out those props. I'm going to save this file right now. I'm going to also type the as any, so it should just remove that TypeScript error. Now let me close there, and that's totally done. Okay, so that was about the foundation package and also the React.js package. Now we are going to be taking care of this storybook package. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to install the storybook, but first of all we have to go to the packages, then the storybook, and now inside there we are going to be using npx and then storybook and then init. If I hit enter, so it's going to ask us to install Vite, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but it's going to install that storybook inside that specific directory. Yes, I'm going to just type y, and here I'm going to choose React.js and Vite. Okay, so it's going to take a bit of time to install there. Okay, our GitHub repository is getting huger and huger. I forgot to include that getignore file, and obviously it's going to give us an error right now. We don't want to report anything, so I'm going to just set that to in like now. And now we are going to be installing like yarn add and Vite as a dev dependency. Okay, so let's just hit enter, and it's gonna install the inside as a dev dependency to a storybook. And now we can use like yarn storybook, and here you can see it's gonna give us that storybook right here, which means like everything is working the way we expect it to work. So this is how we are going to be adding a storybook, and we are now getting a lot of errors, but you don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna stop there for now. And now I'm going to go ahead and go to my storybook right here, and here we are going to be adding our tsconfig file. So I'll just use like tsconfig.json, and here inside there what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write a few configurations. So first of all we have to extend all of their types from our root type. So I'm going to go there, let's just write like tsconfig.json. I'm going to make sure, so I'm going to hold control and click on there. Yep, we are now successfully importing there right here. And now let me just close there, provide my comma there, and now I'm going to provide my compiler options inside there. Let's just paste our base URL, and that's going to go into the stories. And now we are going to be also providing the down level iteration, set that to true. I'm going to be also providing a target, and target will be set to ES3. I'm going to also provide the JSX, so let's just add there. We're going to be adding a React JSX in this situation, and I guess that's going to be it, but we also have to include that folder. So I'll use like include, and here let's just add our stories dot, yeah, I guess stories would be fine. Now I'm going to save this file right now, and that's everything that you have to add for this tsconfig for this storybook right here. Okay, so what the hell is going on? Oh, that's because I was clicking on the wrong folder. Okay, so that's everything that you have to do for this storybook. And now we are going to be adding the most simplest story so that we can test this. So I'm going to remove every single thing inside the stories. Now I'm going to create a new folder which will be that same stories folder. And inside there we are going to be creating our file with the name of button. So I'll use like button.tsx. And now inside there, the first thing that we have to do is that we have to import the button from the buttons. So import buttons from, let's just go into Hossein DS, and then I'm gonna go into the React.js, then I'm gonna go into the src folder, and now we are going to be getting our button. Okay, so now let's just use like export default, and inside there provide my title, and here, god damn it, title, and here that's gonna be set to like components, and then button. I'm gonna be also providing my component right here, and that's going to be set to the button. Now let's just save our file, and I'm going to just write the most basic what do we call it, story. So I'll just write like export, and then const primary, and it's going to be taking primary, and it's going to be taking there as a function. So now we just have to render this component, and I'm going to be providing a variant to there. variant, and variant will be set to primary variant because we're not going to be doing anything with this. So that's the only reason I'm writing it at this way. And I'm going to also close there and change that to like primary, duplicate there a few times. I'm going to also change that to like secondary and also change this one to secondary. I'm going to also change this one to danger and close there. Just put a danger, remove that from here. Also change the variants of this, so I'll just write like secondary and also change this one to the danger. I'm gonna save this file right now, and now let me just use my yarn storybook, so it's gonna run there. And it shouldn't be just a button, it should be, god damn it, let me just close there. It should be a button.stories.tsx, so I'll just write like stories.tsx. I'm gonna close there right now, and I'll use my yarn, come on, yarn, and then storybook like so. And here you can see we are now getting our button component, and which is a primary, then the secondary, and then the danger button, which means like our storybook is working the way we expect him to work. But now we have to add a Tailwind CSS to this project, and that's gonna be it. Oh my god, 10k. That's awesome. So you know what, I am going to collapse there, create a file which will be the get ignore file, and ignore all of that stuff. Now let me just save there and close there, and hopefully it should get disappear. Oh, it's not working. I don't know why, but it's not. Anyways, we are going to be taking care of that in a few seconds, but first of all, you want to go into the Tailwind, come on, tailwindcss.com. I'm going to click on the getting started, then I'm going to go to the framework and guides, go there, copy there. Now I'm going to open my terminal, and let's just go back, open the terminal once again. Now we are going to be going into the package.json. Now we are going to be going to the React package, and now let's just install Tailwind CSS. Or you know what, we can also do that totally simply. So I'm going to just write like yarn workspace, and now we are going to be going into the Hossein DS, and then we want to go to the React.js, and we want to add there as a dev dependency a Tailwind CSS. So let's just hit enter. So it's going to install a Tailwind CSS as a dev dependency inside our React.js package. So let's just close that, and that's totally done. Now we are going to be going into the packages, then the React.js, then we want to go to the SRC. Yeah, not even the SRC, but inside the React.js. I'm going to right click on there and create a new file with the name of tailwind.config.js. config.js. There we go. I'm going to hit enter right now, and inside there we are going to be going in there. I'm going to copy every single thing from there, place it right here. We don't need this theme, so I'm going to delete this, save this file. Now we are going to be adding our plugin or our preset which we just created. So I'll just write like preset, and here for the presets we are going to be adding our own preset right here, provide a comma there. So we are going to be requiring there, or importing there. So we are going to be importing there from where? From the Hossein DS, and from the foundation, then from the lib folder, and then inside the lib folder we have a tdp and then config. That's going to be it. And now let me just save my file. Okay, so now let me just close there. Next we have to go into this src folder, and I'm going to create my index.css file. And now we are going to be copying this index.css directives, and now let me just place that right here, save this file. And finally, I guess that's going to be the final step of this entire thing. I'm going to go into this package.json, and here we are going to be adding our script right here. So that was it about for the build. I'm going to change that. I'm going to write like yarn build and then css and tsc, like for the TypeScript. We are going to be also providing the watch mode for the css. So we are going to be using like npx and then tailwind css, and we want you to go ahead and go to the src folder and watch for the index.css, and gives us the output of the inside the lib folder, and then the output.css, and watch there. Okay, so that's going to be it for the watch css. We're going to be also providing a build css, so I'll just use like npx and then tailwind css, and we want to go into the src folder, and then we want to go into the input.css file. We want to output there. We want to go into the lib folder, then the output.css file, and that's going to be it. Now let me just save my file, and now we are going to be testing our component. But first of all, I'll just go ahead and build there. So I'll just use like first of all, let me just even go into the foundation package. I guess we already built there. I'm not quite sure about that. Yes, we already did. So we don't have to go to the foundation. Let me just go outside from there. I'm going to just use like yarn watch CSS. Okay, so we have to go into the React.js and then we are going to be watching that CSS. God damn it. Yarn watch CSS, and now it's gonna watch there right now. Okay, input.file is not specified. I guess I named that as index, but it should be input. Yep, I'm gonna have to rename that to input and then CSS. And now let me just use like yarn watch CSS, and now it's gonna totally work. Okay, so that's totally done. It's gonna first of all build there. As you can see right here, it's gonna build there, and we're now getting all of that values. And now we can totally use that inside our component, and that's it. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to go ahead and remove that from here, and I'm going to just write like button component, which will say like click me. Let's just zoom in a bit, and here we can just write our class names. And now if I just write Hussein, first of all we have to enable our IntelliSense, then it will work. So I open this extension, which is a Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. I'm going to click on this switch to pre-release version. It's going to take a while to install there, and now I'm going to just restart my extension. Okay, so now let me just go ahead and go to my component once again, and I'm going to remove this class name from there, and I'm going to just write like class name. If I just use like, let me just use like BG, and here you can see we are now getting all of our background colors right here. So we are now getting background color of Hussein. You know what? I can't even show you there right now. What the hell is going on with my IDE today? I'll just write like Hussein, and if I just use like BG, so here you can see it's going to give us all of that colors, which we can use right here. So we are now getting like all of our colors, which is a primary color. Oh my god, why can't you see there? God damn it. And we can also provide our paddings and so on and so forth. So you know what, let me just show you there. I'm going to use like background of warning and 500, which is my own color right here. Okay, so which is the Hussein background color, and now we are going to be also providing some sort of a pairing. So I'll just use like Hussein pairing on the x-axis will be set to add. It will totally work. I can also provide like Hussein pairing on the y-axis of 4. It will totally work. I'm gonna also provide like Hussein rounded totally small. It will work. And yeah, as you can see, we are now getting all of that values, and we can also specify like Hussein, the width will be set to 16, and it will totally work. Now let me just save my file right now. I'm gonna open my terminal, so it's gonna rebuild there, and now we are going to be opening yet another PowerShell. God damn it, not PowerShell. So I'm gonna click on there, and now we are going to be opening another terminal, and I'll use like npm or yarn storybook. So it's gonna open there right here, but first of all we have to go into the storybook package, and then we are going to be using like yarn storybook with the yarn. And now let me hit enter. So now it's gonna work. Let me just refresh there. Okay, it's not working. I don't know why. I guess I'm gonna have to restart this. So I'm gonna close there. I'm gonna also close there, and let me just restart this watch once again, and we are going to be restarting the storybook once again. It's still not working. I don't know why. We have to check it out. So you know what, if I right click on there, go to the inspect element, we should be getting all of these classes, but it's not working. So I'm gonna have to figure this out right now. Okay, so there was not one error, but there was a lot of errors, and it took me a lot of time to figure this out. The first error was, you know what, let me just remove every single thing and rebuild there. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the foundation and delete there. Okay, just a lib folder. Also go to the tokens folder and remove this JS folder from there. I'm going to delete them. Now let me go to the React package. We're going to be removing this lib folder which we just built. And also I'm going to go ahead and go to this tailwind config.js file, and instead of providing this export default, we are not going to be doing there, but instead we are going to be using this syntax, which is a module.export. That's the first thing that you have to do. Now we are going to be rebuilding our project. So now let me just stop there, stop this one, even kill this entire terminal. And now let me just reopen there right here. So we are now inside the root. I'm going to go ahead and go to, first of all, the packages folder. Then I'm going to go to the foundation folder, and I'm going to just build there. So I'll use like yarn build, and now it's going to build there. So that's totally done. Now I'm going to go outside from this foundation package, and I'm going to go into the React package. So I'll just use like cd and then React.js, and I'm going to also build this. So I'll use like yarn build, and I'm going to just build there. Also, we are going to be building a yarn CSS. Just a build CSS as well. So it's going to also build there. Now we are going to be watching for the CSS. So I'll use like yarn watch and then CSS. So that's totally done. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to go ahead and go to our stories. Then we are going to be going into this .storybook folder. Now we are going to be going into this preview.ts file, and here we have to import that CSS output file. So I'll just go ahead and import that. I'll use like dot dot, and then I'm going to go into the root directory. Now we are going to be going into the React.js. Now we have to go into this lib folder which we just built, and now we are going to be getting like output.css, which is this folder. Now let me just show you this. We are going to be going into this lib folder, and we have this output.css file. So now we are going to be importing there. The next thing that we have to do is that we have to also our storybook, so we can see there. So I'll use like yarn storybook, and now if I just hit enter, okay, so we have to first of all go into the storybook folder. Now we are going to be using a what do we call it, yarn storybook. I even forgot the names of them. So now if you test this out, here you can see it will now successfully work. Okay, and why is that? That's because everything is now totally correct, and now we can just use our own design system styling inside this design system, and that will totally work. So here you can see I was using my primary color, but let's suppose if I want to change that to like my secondary color, so I'll use like Hossein and then background of totally warning color. It's not even giving me that intelligence, but that's totally okay. So now let me just save my file, and here you can see the color is now changed to this yellow color, and I'm using my warning color right here, which is coming from our design system. I'm going to also provide a few padding, like padding for the x-axis of 8 and then padding for the y-axis of 4. So let's just add the 4. I'm going to be also providing a few roundness, so I'll just write like rounded totally small, which is my own thing. Okay, so I built that by myself by using my design system, and here you can see it's going to make this amazing button. And let's suppose if you want to change the styling of this, so I'll use like Hossein, and width will be set to 16 or something like that. And I'm going to also provide like Hossein, and the font will be set to semi-bold. I'm going to save this file right now, and here you can see it will also work. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove this width of 16 from there, save my file, and that's totally working. And the next thing that you have to keep in mind is that we also build our own component library, so you can also push that to the npm and use that right here, or you can create a new file for that, and like new folder for that, which will be a component library. So you can put that right here inside your packages folder, and then you would be able to successfully use that inside your design system. And that was it about the design system. That was a lot of talking and a lot of explanation, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hey guys, Hussein and welcome to the YouTube channel. So in this video, we are going to be building this merge stack monster from scratch. Okay, so now let me just show you how this entire project is gonna look like, and then we're going to be jumping into the prerequisites and the setup. So what you can expect by the end of this 7 hour of content is this entire application. So now let me just show you that. So first of all, we have this amazing slider right here, and we can change our movies by just clicking on these dots, or we can just click on these arrows. So it's gonna just also change our movies right here. Okay, so then it's gonna just gives us that choose for you, like all of the top rated movies. Okay, so we can also change our movies by just clicking on there, and then it's gonna also gives us our top movies as well. So it's gonna just grab our top movies from our database, and it's gonna just show it right here, something which we are going to be also learning in this course. Okay, so now let me just click on that. So here you can see we can totally change our movies like that, and then we have a choose movie right here. We can also choose different kind of movies by just clicking on this genre. So now let me just click on this action, so it's gonna just only give us that action movies. So if I just click on this adventure, so it's gonna also give us that adventure movies, and so on and so forth. So that was just a home page. Now let me just go ahead and go to this browse movies, and now once I click on that, and it's gonna brings us to this entire movies database, and we can just search for different kind of movies. Like for instance, if I want to search for like the Ant-Man, it's gonna give us that Ant-Man, or the Black Adam, or John Wick, or I don't know, Avengers or something like that. So we can totally search for a specific movie, or we can also select a movie by a specific genre. So I'm gonna just click on that, and let's suppose if I only want to get the action movies, so I'm gonna just click on that. So it's gonna just only gives us the action movies right here. Or if I want to go to a specific, like I don't know, maybe adventure, so it's gonna just give us that adventure movies right here. Or if I want to go to like I don't know, maybe comedy or yeah, romance. If I just click on this, so it's gonna just give us that song, and I accidentally put that right here, and we can totally remove that from our genres. So that's that. Now we can also select a different movies by a specific year. So I'm gonna just click on that, and we can just choose like 2009. So it's gonna give us all of the movies which was released in 2009. I did not provide a lot of movies because I don't have, but I'm gonna show you how you're going to be adding a lot of movies to your database. But this is just a test to show you what we are going to be building. And now let me just click on this sort by, and I can sort the movies by the new category. So now let me just click on that, and it's going to give us the latest movies right here. Or I can also click on the top, so it's going to give us the top movies, like the top rated movies. And I can also choose the random movies. So here you can see it's going to give us that what do you call it, avatar right here. And now let me just refresh that, and now let me just click on that random movie once again. So anytime I click on that random movie, it's going to give us that specific random movie right here. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just go ahead and go to a specific movie, like I don't know, if I want to go to maybe this Avengers Endgame. Now let me just click on that. So first of all, it's going to give us the movie image, then it's going to give us the movie name, description, and also the cast, and also the releasing date as well, something which we are going to be discussing as well. And here you can also see that we can totally provide a review for that. So how in the world we are going to be doing that? So now let me just click on this icon right here, so we can totally log in if you already have our account. But if you don't have our account, so you can just click on this register, or we can just click on this plus button right here, this plus user icon right here. So it's gonna also brings us to this page where we can create different users. So now let me just create a specific user, like I don't know, maybe the Black Adam. We would have the blackadam@gmail.com, and we would also provide the password of Black Adam and 12 Black Adam 12 once again. And now let me just click on there, and here you can see we are now successfully registering a specific user. And now let me just go ahead and just provide a review for a specific movie. So I'm going to go ahead and write a review for this John Wick. Okay, so now let me just write like I don't know, this is amazing movie, blah blah blah, or something like that. And now if I click on this submit button, so here you can see it's gonna also gives us that who did that review and what kind of review that person did, and we can also see when that review was made. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just click on this drop down menu. We can log out if you wanted to, or we can go ahead and go to our profile. So we can totally update our profile, like the user name, the email, and also the password. We can totally do that. But now let me just log out. And now one of my favorite part about this course, which is the admin functionality. Okay, so now let me just log in as an admin, and you can create different admins if you wanted to, something which we are going to be also diving into in a really great detail. But now let me just log in as an admin, and now let me just click on this sign in, and here you can see we also have the dashboard right here. So now let me just click on this dashboard, and it's gonna give us that amazing dashboard right here where we can see all of the users, all of the comments, and all of the movies right here. Okay, so it's gonna also give us that how many people subscribe, like how many people log in, and yeah, and then it's gonna also give us that top content right here, like how many comments are provided for each of these specific movie. So we can totally see that. We can also see the comments if you wanted to. We can also go ahead and go to the create movie, and here we are going to be just creating a different movie. So now in this case, I can just click on this upload image, and I'm gonna just provide like I don't know, maybe this one, 1899 TV series. So I'm gonna just provide like 1899 and TV series or something like that. And I don't know when this series was released, so I'm gonna just provide like 2023 or something like that. And now let me just provide like horror TV series, which will just make you, yeah, I'm gonna just leave the detail right now because it's just a test. And now let me just provide the cast, and the cast was Hossein, and also the John, and also come on, John, and also web dev or something like that. We can also select a specific genre. So now let me just click on that, and we can put that in a specific genre. So now let me just put that in the comedy or something like that. And now let me just click on this create movie. So it's gonna just create a specific movie, and it's gonna brings us to all of that movies right here. Now let me just go back to my dashboard once again, and now what I want to do is that I'm gonna just click on this create genre, so we can just create a specific genres right here. So I can just create like I don't know, documentary movie or something like that. Now let me just click on this, let me right click on that and select it as a documentary. Now let me just click on this submit button, so we can just select this documentary right here. We can select a specific genre, we can update that if you wanted to, or we can delete that. So like in this case I want to update that to something else or something like that. Now let me just click on this update button, so it's gonna just update that right here. And now if I want to delete that, so I can just click on this button and I can just click on this delete, so it's gonna just delete that right in here. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Now let me just refresh that, and now let me just go back, and we can also go to the update movie. So I'm gonna just click on that, and we can just choose a specific movie to either update or delete. So in this case I'm gonna just update like Ant-Man. So instead of writing Ant-Man, now let me just remove that and Real Man. Okay, so we can update the year, we can update the detail, we can update the cast, we can update the image, we can update every single thing that we want. So I'm gonna just click on this update movie, and it's gonna bring us to this movie's detail. And here you can see we have our Ant-Man. Now let me just show you that, and here you can see we now successfully changed that from the Ant-Man to the Real Man. And now let me just click on that once again. Let me just go to my dashboard once again, and what I want to do is that I can delete a specific movie. So now let me just go ahead and go to this update movie, and let's suppose if I want to delete this I don't know, maybe this song, or you know, let me just delete this because this one was just arbitrary. So now let me just click on this update movie, I can just click on this delete movie, and there you have it. So it's gonna now successfully delete that from my database. So now let me just close that, and here you can see we no longer have that 1899 movie. And now let me just click on that once again, go to my dashboard. We can also check all of the comments, like entire comment section. So now let me just click on these comments, so we can read all of the comments, like who did a specific comment, what they are saying, and when this comment was made. Okay, so now let me just click on this delete button, so we can also delete a specific comment if we don't like that. So yeah, that's the entire thing that we are going to be building in this amazing 7 hour of content. So now let's talk about the prerequisites for this course, like what are the things that you will need to work with this project. So now let me just go ahead and go to my YouTube channel right here. You can just type Hussain Web Dev on the YouTube, and it's going to just bring you to my amazing channel right here, where you can learn different kind of things. And you can also even build this e-commerce project, and this is the biggest project I have ever made. Okay, and you can also build 100 projects and so on and so forth. But what I want you to do is that I want you to just go to this specific playlist right here, which is the Full Stack Web Development Complete course. Once you click on this playlist, so it's going to just bring you to this playlist right here. So what you have to know for this project is HTML, but not CSS. So if you already learned CSS from somewhere else, so we are not going to be using CSS in this project. We are going to be using something called the Tailwind CSS. So you can totally skip the Sass, because in this project we're not going to be using the Sass. So you have to know the HTML, you also have to know the Tailwind CSS, you also have to know a lot of JavaScript. You don't have to be a master in JavaScript, but you do have to know the ES6 and how to work with the new features of ES6 and all of that. And you don't have to know the TypeScript, because in this course we're not going to be using a TypeScript. And then you also must have to know the React.js and also the Redux toolkit and RTK query. You also have to know that, and you don't have to know these two courses. And you also have to know a lot of Node.js and a lot of Express.js and a lot of Mongoose. Okay, and you can also skip the Vue.js. And if you want to be fast like me, so you can also take this course, but you don't have to. Okay, so let me just count there. This is going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 courses that you have to take. Then you would be able to follow along with this amazing project. So yeah, that's everything you need to know for this amazing project, and now let's get into it. Alright guys, so now let me make a set of 4-hour coding journey. So I'm going to open my terminal right here inside my desktop, and now let me just make that a bit bigger. And what I want to do is that first of all, I'm going to be creating a separate folder inside my desktop. So I'm going to just write a not cd but mkdir and my movies. You can give it any name you like, and then I'm going to go into my movies. So I'm going to just write like cd my movies. And now what I want to do is that I want to create my React project. So I'm going to be just using this command right here. It's gonna allows us to create a new React project by using the Vite. And now here I'm going to just rename that to like front end. Let's just rename that to front end. Okay, so now let me just hit enter right here. And now what we want to do is that we want to go into this front end folder right here. So we are currently inside a desktop, and inside our desktop we have my movies project, and then inside my movies we have this front end folder right here. You know what, let me just show you that. So I'm going to be using the ls right here, and here you can see we only have this front end folder. And now I'm going to go into this front end folder right here, and then I'm going to be using the npm i to install all of the packages which we need for the React.js. So it's going to install all of the packages right in here. So here you can see all of the packages are now successfully installed. And now let me just go back from this front end folder. So we are now inside this my movies project, and now I'm going to be using the code dot, and it's going to open my VS Code right here. And you know what, let me just use this code dot once again. So it's going to open my VS Code on the other screen right here. Okay, so here you can see we only have this front end folder, and inside this folder we only have our React boilerplate. Okay, so now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to create a separate folder for the backend. So I'm going to just create a backend right here. And now the next thing which you want to do is that inside my movies, not inside the front end, and also not inside the backend, but here inside my movies, let me just highlight that for you. Inside my movies folder, I'm going to be initializing my backend stuff. Okay, so now let me just write npm init, come on, init-y. So it's going to just initialize our node package right here. And here you can see inside the file we have the name, the version, the description, main, and all of that kind of stuff. So what I want to do is that I want to just write the type of module. Okay, so you just have to write this, save your file, and now we have to install a lot of packages for the backend, not for the front end, but for the backend. The first thing which you have to do is that we have to install the bcrypt. So I'm going to be just writing the npm i, and then let me just place this bcrypt right here. Now the next thing which you want to do is that we also need the body parser. So now let me just place that right here, and we are going to be also using the concurrently to combine the backend and the front end. So now let me just install that. The next thing which you need is the cookie parser. So now let me just install that as well. And we would also need the .env because we want to secure our file. And here you can see we are now just passing our .env right here. And now let me just hit space one more time. We're going to also, like, obviously need Express.js. So we are going to be also installing the Express.js. And now we are going to be also needing the JSON Web Tokens. Now let me just hit space one more time. We would also need the Mongoose. So now let me just install Mongoose, and also the Mulcher as well, and finally the Nodemon. Okay, so now let me just hit enter right here. But before I do, I want to show you every single thing. So we are now installing the bcrypt, the body parser, the concurrently, cookie parser, .env, Express, JSON Web Token, Mongoose, Mulcher, and Nodemon. So we are now installing all of their packages inside my movies, not on the back end and also not on the front end. Okay, so now let me just hit enter. So it's going to just install all of their packages for me. And now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to take care of the front end. But now let me just leave this one to do its thing, and I'm going to just see you in a few seconds. All of the packages are now successfully installed. So now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to make sure that everything is successfully installed or not. So here you can see we have a bcrypt, we have the body parser concurrently, and all of them right here. So yeah, that's cool. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to go into this front end folder, and we want to install a lot of packages inside there. So I'm going to be just using the cd and front end. So it's going to just brings us to that front end folder. And now let me just use the npm i to first of all install the React icons. We would also need the Redux toolkit. So we're going to have to just write first of all the React Redux, and then we would also need to install the Redux toolkit. So now let me just place the Redux toolkit right here. Let me just make that, oh, you know, I'm not going to make that a bit bigger. And now we would also need the React router. And now here you can see we are now placing the React router. Now we would also need the React router DOM. So now let me just place that right here. We would also need the React Silk. And now here we would also place the React Silk right here, and also the React Toastify. So here let me just place the React Toastify, and finally for the React, I mean, like, finally, not finally, yeah, I guess finally, this is going to be the final package which you are going to be installing. So now let me just install Silk Carousel. Okay, so now let me just make that a bit bigger. So the first thing which we are installing is the React icons, then the React Redux, then the Redux toolkit, then the React router DOM, React Silk, React Toastify, and Silk Carousel. So now let me just hit enter right here. So it's going to install all of their packages inside this folder right here. Now let me just make that a bigger, or let me just go into this folder, and it's going to install all of their packages which we are currently installing inside this front end folder right here. Okay, so now let me just wait for that. And it is looking awful, but it will install there right here. Let me just make that a bit bigger, and yeah, you can see all of the packages are now successfully installed. And now I'm going to close that. And now what I want to do is that I want to delete this public folder, and I also want to delete this SS folder. I also want to delete this I also want to delete this app. Let me just go ahead and go to my app, and now let's just remove every single thing from there. And I'm going to be using this RFC shortcut, and now let me just remove every single thing from the index.css. And now I'm going to also remove this React strict mode from here. Let's just remove that, and here you can see everything is looking okay. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to ignore this node modules folder. And now let me just write a .git ignore, and here we are going to be just ignoring the node modules folder. And here you can see that's totally ignore node modules with S. Now let's just save that. And now the next thing which you want to do is that we also want to use the .env. And now inside this .env, first of all, we are going to be defining our port, which will be 3000. And then we are going to be also defining our Mongo URI. So I'm going to be using the Mongo URI, and it's going to be equals to the string of, let me just search for a Mongo URI right here. And I'm going to just search for Mongoose. Come on, Mongoose. And here let's just click on Mongoose. And here let's just click on Mongoose, and I'm going to just copy that. Okay, so let's just copy that from here, and now let me just place that right here. And we are going to be using a single quote here as well. Instead of writing a test, I'm going to change that to movies app or something. And we would also need something that JWT secret, which I already discussed. So now let me just place some random text right here. You can place whichever kind of thing you like. You can place 1 2 3 whatever. So yeah, that's looking cool. But now, let me just first of all go to this front end folder, and I'm going to just use first of all front end and npm, not I, but npm run dev to run our project by using this port. So now let me just go into my port, and let's just see. Here you can see we don't have any errors, nothing inside there, which is looking totally cool and okay. But now we also want to bind the backend and also the front end functionality to one thing. So for that, we are going to be using a script. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my package.json, and now let's just remove this script from here. So now the first thing which I want to do is that I want to create a script for my front end. So we are going to be running our front end by using the npm run front end. So we are going to be first of all going into the front end folder, and then npm run dev. So that was the first script. And now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to duplicate that. Let's just remove that, and we would also have to create for the backend as well. So I'm going to just write a backend, and now here we are going to be running our backend by using the nodemon. And then first of all, we have to go into the backend folder, and then inside this backend folder, we are going to be just listening to this index.js right here. So now finally, let me just create for the full stack. You can give it any name you like, but in my case, I'm going to just give it the name of like full stack. And here what I want to do is that I'm going to be using the concurrently, and first of all we are going to be just writing a backslash, and inside that we are going to be using the npm run backend first of all. And let's just close them, and I'm going to be also using the backslash one more time. And now let me just reuse my npm run front end. Like we are going to be first of all running the backend, and then we are going to be running the front end. So for that, what do you want to do? We just have to write one more backslash and then end off the quotes. And now let me just put that down, and here let me just provide a comma. Let's just remove that from here, save my file. And now let me just go ahead and go to my backend folder, and inside this backend folder we're going to be doing a lot of things. We are not going to be doing that right now, but now let me just create a few folders. So the first folder I'm going to be creating for the config. So let's just create folder for config. The next one will be for the controllers. So controllers. The next folder which we are going to be creating for the routes. So let's just name it as routes. And we are going to be also creating a folder for the middleware. So middlewares. And we are going to be also creating one for the models. So now let me just write a models. And here finally we are going to be creating a folder for the utils. So utility functions, we are going to be writing it inside there. Now finally we just have to create a separate file inside there, and I'm going to just name that to the index.js. And inside this file we are going to be defining a few things for now. So let me just go back, and I'm going to be just writing like yeah, running baby or something like that. Now let me just save my file, and here you can see we already stopped our server. And now let me just go back from this front end folder, and here I'm going to be just first of all using the npm run backend. So if I just write npm run backend, so here you can see it's going to run our file by using the nodemon, so which is totally okay. So now let me just change something inside there, save my file, and here you can see it's going to give us there, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's totally working. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we also want to run our front end, so I'm going to be using the npm run front end right here. So now if I hit enter, and here you can see it's going to also run the front end for me, and that's looking totally cool. But now the next thing which I want to do is that I want to run both. So for that we are going to be using the npm run full stack. There we go. And now if I hit enter right here, so it's going to first of all run my backend, and then it's going to run my front end right here, which is totally amazing. So yeah, that's cool. But now let me just remove that from here. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we also have to add our database right here. So I'm going to just go to my config folder. Inside this folder we are going to be just creating a db.js, and now inside this file the first thing which you want to do is that we want to grab the mongoose from the mongoose, and also we just want to create a function. So I'm going to just name that to connect db, and here we're going to be using the asynchronous function. And now what I want to do is that I'm going to be using the try and catch block, and for the catch statement we are going to be just writing like console.error, and here let's just put our successfully connected to MongoDB. Okay, and I'm going to also place correct. Okay, yeah, this one right here. Now let me just also use the process.exit if you have some sort of an error. So we're going to be just exiting out every single thing. And finally, let's just go back. We're going to be exporting the default connect db, and now let me just provide my logic inside there. So if you want to connect to our database, so for that we are going to be using the mongoose, not mongo but mongoose.connect method, and we're going to be using the process, process.env dot mongo URI. Let me just copy that from here, and now let me just copy that from here, and now let me just place it right here. So we are now successfully connected to our database. So we would also need some sort of a message inside the console. What the hell am I doing? CLG and successfully 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 connected to MongoDB. Okay. Oh, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. I'm gonna have to cut that from here, and then we're going to be just writing console.error, and here we're going to be just passing over error if we got one. And now let me just render my error right here. So error.message as, not mongoose but message as MESSAGE, so error message as well. Now let me just save that, and that's every single thing that we need right here. Now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to use that inside our index.js file. And now what I want to do is that I'm going to be importing a lot of packages right here. So we would need the express.js, the cookie parser, the .env, and also the path, and that's every single thing that we need for now. And now let me just grab something from the files. So let's just name that as a files, and we are going to be just importing our connect db from where, let's just go ahead and go to the config file, and then .js right here. Okay, so now we just have to provide our configuration. So I'm going to just write a configuration, I guess this is how you spell it. So now let me just use the .env and then .config. Okay, and now let me just execute that, and finally we're going to be also connecting to our database. And underneath that, what do you want to do? We just want to create an instance of our express, so we just want to store that inside our app, and not like that, express. And now let me just execute that, and here we're going to be also passing our middleware. Okay, where's as well. What the hell? MILLEWARES. And now let me just use the app.use, and we're going to be using the express.json, express.url encoded right here. Inside there we're going to be just providing the extended to true, and we're going to be also providing the app.use of cookie parser, which we already grabbed. And now underneath that we just want to get our port, so we are going to be just writing a port. It's going to be equals to process.env.port, or just use the 3000 by default. And now underneath that we are going to be just creating our routes, and here let's just define our route, or we are going to be defining our route a bit later. And now what I want to do is that I just want to listen to that port, so I'm going to be using the app.listen. and I'm going to be just listening to this port right here. And now let me just place my console.log of server is running on port, and let's just place this port right here. Okay, so everything is now successfully done. Now let me just go back to show you every single thing right here. So first of all, we are just importing our packages, then we are just grabbing our ConnectDB, then we are providing our configuration, we are creating an instance of Express.js, we are providing the needed middlewares, and we are also grabbing the port, and also we are just listening to that port right here. Okay, so now let me just rerun every single thing right here. Let me just zoom in a bit, and I'm going to be using the npm run and backend in this case. And now let me just hit enter. Server is running on port 3000 and also successfully connected to MongoDB. So everything is now working totally as expected. And now the next thing which you want to do is that you want to create a routes right here, but you know, I'm going to just take care of that in a few seconds. But we would also have to install the Tailwind CSS right here. So what I want to do is that I'm going to just go back from there, and then I'm going to just go into the front end folder. Now let me just hit enter right here. So we are now inside this front end folder, and now let me just install the Tailwind CSS. So I'm going to just write like Tailwind CSS right here. Let's just go to there, and I'm going to be just hitting Control K, and then, oh, you know, let me just click on this getting started button right here. Let me just zoom in a bit, and then we have to click on this framework guides, and here we just have to select our white project right here. What they are suggesting is that first of all we have to create our project, then we have to navigate to their project, and then we have to just use these two commands right here. So I'm going to just copy there, but now let me just go back to show you every single thing, and here now let me just place this command right here. Okay, so it's going to just first of all install the Tailwind CSS and Post CSS and also the auto prefixer, and then it's going to just initialize our project or Tailwind CSS project by using this command. And now let me just initialize my Tailwind CSS by using the npx Tailwind CSS init-p. That was a bit mouthful, but now let me just hit enter right here. Okay, so it's gonna just initialize our Post CSS and also the Tailwind config file. Okay, so yeah, that's cool, but we have to test it out. So now let me just use the npm run, not full stack but the front end. There we go. So it's gonna do its, oh, we are already inside this front end folder, so we have to go back from there, and then we have to use the npm run front end, and it's gonna do its thing. But I just want to copy there. Let's just copy that from here. We have to go ahead and go to our Tailwind config file. There we go. Let me just replace that by using this one, this new one which you just copied right here. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to copy the CSS styling, and now let's just save this file. Let me just go ahead and go to my src, and then I'm going to just place it right here inside this index.css file, which is already located inside the src folder. And now let me just copy this h1 from here, and now here let me just go ahead and go to my app, and now let me just replace this div with this h1. So now let me just save there, and here you can see it is already running. Let's just stop there, and now let me just use my npm run front end one more time, and now let me just hit enter. So it's gonna just start my server once again, and here you can see Tailwind CSS is working totally as expected. So we can change whatever we want to change, like text of teal, I don't know, 200 or something like that, and here you can see that's working totally okay. And yeah, that was all about the setup of this project. So we would have to take care of a lot more than that, but yeah, that was just the entire setup of this amazing project. So that was the setup. Now let's take care of the user management. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my backend first of all, and let's just go into my index.js file, and now underneath that inside the routes, so now let's just define a route by using the app.use, and we are going to be going into the API, the version 1, and then the users, because we are currently taking care of the users. So we are going to be just defining the user routes in a few seconds, but first of all we have to define the schema. So I'm going to just take care of the user routes in a few seconds, but now let's just take care of the schema or the model, whatever you want to call that. So user.js would be fine, and now let's create our model right here. The first thing we have to import is the mongoose from mongoose, and then we also have to create our schema. So const user schema will be now equals to mongoose. Come on mongoose, there we go, mongoose.schema, and here we just have to define our schema right here. So the first thing which you want to do is that we want to provide the username, and inside this username we are going to have to define the type. Oh my god, what the hell. Let's just remove that and also remove that one as well. And now inside there for the type, it's going to be set to string, and it's going to be required, like the user should have to provide the types are required like that. Let's just save our file. So this is how we are going to be providing a username. Now let me just take care of the email as well. So we're going to have to provide a type of string, and also required will be set to true, and it should be unique. So unique, unique will be also set to true. Let's just create for the password as well. So we are going to be just providing a type of string to it, and also it should be required set to true. Let's just provide our comma there, and finally we just have to take care of the is admin. Okay, so if the user is admin, so it's going to be a totally boolean, and whether the user is admin or not. And then let's just provide a required will be now set to true, and we have to just provide a default state of that to false. Okay, so by default the user will be not admin, and then we can make it as admin if you wanted to. And now let me just provide my timestamp right here. So timestamps will be set to true as well. Okay, so let's just save that. Let me just go back, and this is how we are going to be creating our schema. So first of all, we are providing the username, then the email, then the password, then the admin, and finally the timestamps. So now underneath all of that, we have to just export that right here. So we're going to be just creating a user. It's going to be equals to the mongoose.model, and here we just have to pass our user right here, and let's just pass our user schema. And now let's just export that. So we are going to be using export default of user. So now let's just save that. But now we have to create our routes right here. So we're going to be just creating a route of the user routes.js. So now inside these routes, the first thing which you have to do is that we have to grab or express from express.js, and now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to also grab a lot of controllers. So we are going to be grabbing controllers right here, and we will also grab the middlewares as well, but we're going to take care of that in a few seconds. But now let me just create my router right here. So console router will be now set to express.router. Okay, so now underneath that, what do you want to do? And here we just have to define our router.route as simple route when somebody go to the user. So what do you want to do in that case? So if somebody posts something, so now let me just write a post request, then we're going to be passing our create user right here. So now let me just create that right here. I'm going to save this file, and we're going to be also exporting our router. So const export default router right here, default default, there we go. And now let me just create this controller right here. Now let me just save that, and what I want to do is that I want to go to my controllers. Inside these controllers, we're going to be creating our user controller.js, and inside that, the first thing which you want to do is that you want to grab our user from where? From our model. So where is our model? Let's just go ahead and go to our models. Then we have to just write a user.js. And now underneath that, we're going to also need the bcrypt. So I'm going to just write a bcrypt.js from where? From the bcrypt.js. Okay, so now underneath that, we're going to also have to just create a token and also the asynchronous handler. So now let me just take care of that in a few seconds. So I'm going to go into my middlewares right here, and we're going to be creating two middlewares. The first one which I'm going to be creating for the async handler.js, and then we're going to be also creating for the auth middleware.js, whether the user is authenticated or an admin. So we're going to be creating our custom async handler right here. So I'm going to be just using like async handler. You can give it any name you like, and it's going to take a function as a parameter. It's going to also take the request, the response, and also the next, because this is a middleware, so we have to pass the next right here. And inside there, what do you want to do? We just want to provide a promise.resolve, and when the promise is resolved, so we're going to have to pass this function once again, and which we are taking right here as a parameter. And inside there, we're going to have to pass our next parameter right here. So we're going to have to just write a request and response, and also the next as well. And now inside there, or you know, not like this, we have to catch something if you have some sort of error. So for that, if we have some sort of error, so we're going to be catching that error by using rest.status, and then we have to just pass 500, and we just have to write a JSON, provide a message to that, and we're going to be just passing our error.message. Okay, so that's there. Now finally we just have to write export default and async async handler. There we go. Now let me just save my file, and that's it about the asynchronous handler. And now let's just take care of the auth middleware. The first thing which I want to do is that I want to take care of the JWT. So we're going to be just grabbing the JWT from the JSON Web Tokens, and I already discussed all of that things in my merge stack course and also in the other projects, so I'm going a bit fast. That's because I already discussed all of that things. So now let me just go to my models, and we're gonna have to grab our user.js, and then we also have to grab our async handler. From where? From, let's just go ahead and go to our asynchronous, come on, from async handler.js right here. Okay, so then the next thing which you have to do is that we have to check if the user is authenticated or not. So for that, we're going to be creating a function which will be authenticate, and it's going to be now equals to the asynchronous or async handler function which we already created right here, and we're going to be providing yet another callback function, so request, response, and also the next. And now inside there we're going to be just creating a separate variable right here for the token, and now we are going to be initializing a token to that. So it's going to be coming from the request.cookies and then the JWT, the JSON Web Tokens, and I'm going to show you where this is coming from. So read JWT from the JWT cookie, which I'm going to show you. So now let's just check if the token is valid or not. But first of all, we have to check if we even have our token or not. Okay, so if we have the token, so for that we're going to be using the try and catch block, and if we have some sort of an error, so we're going to be just running like res.status, and then here we just have to pass our 401 and then throw new error, not like that, but error not authorized, no token failed. There we go. And now if we have the token and token is valid, so what do you want to do? We just want to decode that. So we're going to be just using decoded, and it's going to be equals to a JWT and verify function, and here we just have to pass our token and also the process.env, and we already defined our JWT secret in other file, which you can see right here inside this env. We are now defining our JWT secret, and we're now passing that secret right here. Okay, so now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to get the user. So request.user will be now equals to await user.find await await find, not just find but find by ID. We are going to be first of all getting the user, and then we are going to be just writing a decoded.user ID. We are going to be just getting the user ID, and we are going to be just selecting the password. Like, we need every single thing but the password. We don't need the password. Okay, so now let me just use the next, and now let's just go back, and that's everything we need to do for now. But if you don't have the token, so that was like, if we have the token, so we're going to be just decoding the token. We would need every single thing about the user, but we don't want to get the password. And then finally we just want to get to the next middleware. And what if we don't have the token right here? So what do you want to do in that case? So for that we're going to be just using like res.status and then 401, and here we just have to write a throw new error of not authorized and no token. We don't found any token. So yeah, that's it about how we are going to be checking if the user is authenticated or not. Now let me just collapse that right here. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to check if the user is admin or not. So check if the user is admin or not. Okay, so I'm going to be just creating a function. I'm going to just give it a name of like authorize admin. It's going to be equals to the request, response, and also the next. And inside there we're going to be checking if request.user and request.user.isAdmin. Okay, so we're going to be getting these two values from our request. Then just go to the next middleware, like everything is totally okay. But if the user is not in admin, so we just have to write like res.status of 401, and then let's just send this message right here, which will be not authorized as an admin. Okay, so now let me just save that, and finally we just have to export both of our middleware. So I'm going to be just exporting the authenticated and also the authorized as an admin. So now let me just save that, and we're now totally done with both of these middlewares right here. But now we have to use them somewhere. I'm going to just close that right here, and now let me just grab that right here. So the first thing which you have to do is that we have to grab our async handler from where? From our async handler. So let's just go to my middlewares right here. Let's just go to my async handler. We will also need to create a token. I forgot to show you that. First of all, we have to just do that, and I'm going to just go to my utility function right here, and we're going to be just creating a token. So I'm going to just give it the name of like create token.js. And to create a token, the first thing we would need is the JWT from the JSON Web Tokens. And also let's just create our token. So I'm going to just define a function, generate token is going to be equals to the response and also the user ID. And inside there, what do you want to do? We just want to get the token first of all. So const token will be coming from the JWT sign, and we are now going to be just destructuring the user ID. And then we have to just write a process.env, and we already define our JWT secret. And then we have to just pass our expiration date right here. So it's going to have to expire in 30 days. So now let me just pass by 30 days, and now let's just save that. So this is how we are going to be creating a token. And now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to set that token as an JWT HTTP only cookie. So now let me just write a set JWT as an HTTP only cookie. There we go. So now let me just save that, and let's just close that right here. And now we are going to be using rest.cookies, not cookies but just a singular cookie, and we have to just write a JWT for JSON Web Token, and then we have to just write a token which we already generated right here. Let me just show you that, which we already generated right here. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to place these properties and values. So HTTP only will be set to true, secure will be just getting from the oh, I forgot to do that. Now let me just copy that. I just realized that I forgot to do that. Let's just place that right here, and I'm going to just place it right here. It's going to be equals to the development TVLOPMENT. There we go. And now let me just save that, and the secure will be set to the node environment not equal to development. So in this case, this is set to development, but when we launch or deploy this project, so it's not going to be in the development mode, so then it should be secure. So then the same site will be set to strict, and here we are just providing the max age of 30 days right here. Okay, so now let me just save that, and now let's just return there right here. So we have to just write return token, and there you have it. Underneath that, we are going to be just using export default of generate token right here, which we already create right in here. Okay, so now we successfully create our token, but now we have to use that. Okay, so now we are going to be using it right here, and to use that, the first thing we would need is the create token. From where, let's just go to my utils, and then we have to go to the create token right here. And now finally we have to create our user. So we are going to be just writing like const create user, and it's going to be equals to the asynchronous handler async handler function which we already defined. And now let me just provide my async handler of request response, and inside there we're going to be just destructuring the username, the email, and also the password. From where? From the request.body. And now let me just write a console.log of not create but username, and also the email, and also the password as well. So now let me just save that, and finally we just have to export the create user from there. And now let me just save that, and we have to grab the controller from there. So we're going to be just using like import create user, and let me just hit enter right here. And finally at the end we have to just specify this .js, and now let me just, we are already using that right here, but I forgot to show you one thing. We have to go to the index.js file, and we have to import that right here. So let's just try. It's not going to just auto import, so we have to manually import that. So we are going to be just importing this user routes. From where, let's just go to our routes, and inside this routes we have the user routes.js. Now let me just save that and close every single thing, and for that we are going to be just using npm run backend. And now let me just hit enter, and here you can see we don't have no errors inside there. Now we can use either the Thunder client or the Postman. So throughout the course I'm going to be using the Postman because I know a lot of people don't already know about the Thunder client, so I'm not going to be using that, although it is called tool and I always, like every single day, use this Thunder client. But in this course we're going to be using this Postman right here. So now let me just create a blank collection right here, and I'm going to just name it like movies project or something like that. And now inside there we're going to be just creating a few folders, or not folders but files, and let's just create an add request. And we are now first of all creating or create user right here. And what I want to do is that we are listening to this port right here. And you know, first of all, let me just define my local host. Let me just define HTTP, then localhost 3000, and we are now listening to this port right here, which is API, come on, API version 1, and then users. Okay, so now if I hit, or you know, it should be a post request right here, because currently we are just listening to the post method right here. Okay, and we also have to send some sort of a data inside there. So for that, we're going to be just sending some sort of a data inside the raw, and then we have to click on the JSON. And now let me just provide some sort of a data right here, and I'm going to just pass, let me just zoom in a bit. Oh god damn it. Let's just click on that, and here we're going to be just passing the username first of all. So username, and the username will be set to Alex, and then we have to just specify the email for that. So we would have like alex@gmail.com, and we also have to provide some sort of a password for that, and password will be like alex12 or something like that. And now let me just click on the send button, and here let's just check out. Okay, so it's not working. I don't know why, but we are just getting some sort of error. Okay, so 404 not found. What's up? What are we doing? 3000 is okay, but I forgot to include the one right here. We have to just write this version 1, and then we have to click on this send button, and then it's going to give us the username, the email, and also the password right here at the end. Okay, so this is how we are going to be sending the data by using the Postman. And now let's just create our user actually. So now let me just get into that, and we're going to be just removing this code from here, and now let's just create our real user. But before we create a user, first of all we have to validate. So we want to check if we don't have the username, or if we don't have the email, like if the user did not specify the username or the email, or the user did not specify the password. So what do you want to do in that case? We just want to throw new error, like throw error, and we just want to say like please fill all the fields right here. Okay, so if the user does provide all of the input fields, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to check for already existed users. So we're going to be just writing like const user exist, and it's going to be equals to await and user dot find one, which is mongoose method, and inside there we're going to be just passing the email. Okay, and we're going to be also checking if we already have user already existed. So what do you want to do in that case? You know what, let me just make that as a one-liner, and we're going to be just writing like res.status of 400, and we just have to write a send user already exists, SIST. There we go. Now let me just save that. So at this point we are not creating the user, but now let's just generate our user. So first of all we are going to be just hashing the user password. So hash the user password right here. And now if you want to hash the user password, we're going to have to provide some sort of a salt inside there. So for that we're going to be using await and then bcrypt.js, not JS but just a bcrypt. Did I name it as a bcrypt.js? It shouldn't be a JS, just a bcrypt. Now let me just copy that, and now let me just place it right here as a bcrypt, and we have a method inside there which is a gen salt. So it's going to just generate a salt for us, and then we have to pass the generated salt inside our hashed password. So we have to just write a hashed password, and it's going to be equals to await, and then let's just use our bcrypt one more time, and it should be await. We have to use our bcrypt one more time, and we just have to hash our password by using this hash method. And here we have to specify this password right here, which we are already getting from the user. Okay, so we have to specify the hash password, and we want to provide a salt of this 10 randomly generated some text right here, like I don't know, the numbers, and yeah, it's gonna just generate a salt for us, and we want to provide that salt into a real password. And now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to create a new user. So we are going to be just writing like const new user, and it's going to be equals to new. Then we have to just specify the user model right here, and we have to just write a username which the user is already giving us, and also the email, and also the password. We are not going to be just writing a password, but instead we have to pass our hash password right here. Okay, so now let me just pass this hash password, and that's it. This is how we are going to be creating our user. But now we have to store this user inside our database. So for that we are going to be using the try and catch block. For the catch we are going to be just writing like res.status of 400, and underneath that we're going to be also just providing some sort of error like invalid user data or something like that. And for the try block, first of all we are going to be storing our user inside our database. So for that we are going to be just using the schema name or the variable name by which we are creating our user, and then we have to just specify the save method. So it's going to just save our user to our database. And now we have to also create a token based on that user. So we are going to be just writing like create token, that function which we already created right here inside the utils file. Here you can see we already defined this function. It is taking the response and also the user ID, and we are now grabbing that right here. So now we have to just specify the so what I want to do is that we have to just specify the response and also the new user. So it's going to just give us the ID right here already. So that's a mongoose thing. So we are now providing a specific user new ID right here. So based on that ID, it's going to just create a token for us. Okay, so now underneath that, we just want to show some sort of a message to user like, yeah, the username and everything is totally okay. So we're going to have to just write like res.status, and we have to just write a 201 like the user already created, or the user just created, like the new user created. And we're going to have to just write an ID of new user, and we have to just get the unique ID from there. We have to define the username and the new user, and then we have to just write a username, and also we have to define the email. We have to just write a new user and then the email, and also finally is admin, admin, and then we have to just write a new user dot is admin. Okay, so now let me just save that, and now let me just go back and let me just say that once again. So the first thing which we are doing is that we are grabbing the credential from the user, and then we are checking their credential and all of their fields. So if the user did not specify any of the field, or if the user missed any of these fields, so we're going to have to just pass this error, please fill all of the input fields. And then we are checking if the user already exists inside our database. So for that, we're going to have to pass the user already existed. If the user provide every single thing and the user is not already existed inside our database, and then we have to just generate the salt, and we have to paste that salt into a real password. So it's going to just make it as a random characters, and then finally based on that random characters and the user data, first of all we're going to be just providing the user enter the username, then the email, and we're going to be also providing the hash password so that nobody can see that. And finally we are just saving the user to the database, and we are creating a new token based on that specific user ID. And finally we are just showing something to the user like, yeah, the user is created or not. Okay, so now what I want to do is that let's just go back. That was a lot. That was a lot of going back. Okay, so now let me just create my user right here, and for that we are going to be going into my MongoDB. You can use the MongoDB Compass if you wanted to, but I'm going to be just using my MongoDB. So now let me just drop these already created databases. So Hussein Movies, and we also have the Movies app. Let's just delete that. So Movies app, come on. Movies app, and now let me just hit enter right here, and here you can see we don't have any other databases. But now if I click on this button right here, so it's gonna just gives us this preview right here. It is now set to raw, but if I click on the pretty, so it's gonna just make it pretty. I can also click on the visualize, and then click on this visualize response, and then click on the continue. So it's gonna just take a bit of time, and here you can see it's gonna just create a table for us. So we have the user ID, then we have the username, then we have the user email, and also the user is not admin. Okay, so now let me just show you that inside my real database right here. So now let me just refresh that, and here you can see we have a Movies app, we have a users collection inside there. Now let me just click on that, then we have to go to the document, and inside this document we only have one document right here. So we have a uniquely created ID right here, then we have a username, then we have an email, and here you can see the password is totally hashed, and the user is not currently set to an admin, so it is now set to false, and the created date is this date right here. Okay, so yeah, this is how we are going to be creating a new user. Now I want to create a few more users so that we can work with that. So I'm not going to be just clicking on the test. I'm going to just click on the body, and I'm not even going to be just visualizing this. So I'm going to just click on this pretty right here, and now let me just change all of their data. So I'm going to be just creating first of all myself, but before I create myself, I'm gonna have to drag that at the bottom, I guess. And now let me just create myself. So I'm gonna be just creating myself, which is Hussein, baby. And now let me just create Hussein@gmail.com, and we have a Hussein12. Okay, now let me just click on that. So it's gonna just create that Hussein for us. Then we have we already created Alex, but Jordan, and I'm going to just create a Jordan, and also Jordan12. Let's just click on that, and finally we're going to be just creating a few fruits. So mango, and we have mango and mango. And now let's just click on that. Finally let's just create one for the, I don't know, banana. One of my, oh, you know, not banana but Sprite. Sprite, like that. Copy that, place that right here. Let's just save that. So now let me just show you all of their users. So I'm going to just refresh that, and here you can see we have all of their users right here. So this is how we are going to be creating a user But now let's talk about how we're going to be logging in a specific user. So I'm going to go into my user routes. Here we have to just register a new route. So we're going to be just writing like router.post, and then we have to just write an auth inside there and login user. So we're going to be creating this controller right here. We have to first of all grab it, save this file, and then we have to create it right here. So now let me just create my login user, and it's going to be also an asynchronous handler. We have to just pass over a request and the responses as well, and now inside there we're going to be just getting the email and then the password from the user. Then by using that same email and password, we would be able to successfully log in and log out. So let me just write console.log of email and also the password as well. Are we getting the user email and password or not? So now let me just copy that and place it right here, save my file, and now let me just create another request right here. So add request, and in this case this is going to be the get request, or not a get request, it should also be a post request right here. So now let me just make that as a post request. I'm gonna just go back so you guys can see everything a bit better, and now let me just copy this exactly same thing, and now let me just place that right here. Now in this case, what do you want to do? We just want to write the auth. Okay, so now let me just copy that, and now let me just place the auth, and we also have to send some sort of a data right here. So we are going to be just writing binary raw and then JSON, and here we just have to specify first of all the user, not a username but the email. So the email will be alex@gmail.com, and then we have to just specify the password for that Alex. So we're gonna have to just write a password, not password but alex12. Okay, so now let me just click on this send button. So it's gonna just okay, so it's gonna just gives us the email, and we are also getting the password right here, which is totally a-okay. And now we have to save this file. Everything is looking totally a-okay. Based on this email and password, we are going to be logging in the user, but first of all we have to check whether if we already have the user in the database or not. So we are going to be just writing like exist user, there we go. It's going to be equals to await and then user model, and we're going to be using the mongoose method, which will be the find one, and we are going to be just providing the email. So now let me just log that email right here, or existing email or user. Why am I saying email? Okay, so here if I click on the send button right here, and here you can see it's going to give us all of their data based on that specific user, which means like, yeah, this user is already inside our database. So what do you want to do in that case? We just want to provide our if statement. If you already have the user inside our database, so what do you want to do? We just want to compare their password, whether the user is providing the valid password or not. Okay, so const is password valid. So what do you want to do? We just want to provide await bcrypt, and we have a compare method inside there, and we are going to be comparing this password which the user is providing right here, and also we have to just search for the existing user, and then we have to just search for a specific password right here, which is already defined inside our database. So yeah, that's cool. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to also check for the valid password. So if the password is, come on, not is password but is password valid, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to create a new token. So we're going to be just using create token. We have to provide a response, and then we have to just provide the existing user and set that ID right here. And finally we have to show some message to the user. So we're going to be just showing the user ID, the user email, and I mean like the username and the email, and also whether the user is admin or not. Okay, so if that's not the case, what do you want to do in that case? So like if the user is not authenticated, so what do you want to do in that case? We just want to write, oh no, here I'm gonna cut that from here. Now let me just place it right here, and now we have to just specify res.status, and for the status we are going to be just passing like 401 and then JSON. Okay, and here we just have to pass the message, and the message will be invalid password. There we go. Now let me just save that, and underneath these curly braces we are going to be also defining our else block right here. So res.status of 401 right here as well, and we're going to be just providing the JSON message, and the message will be user not found. Okay, so if the user credentials are invalid, so the user will not found. Okay, so now what I want to do is that I want to do a review. First of all, we are getting the email and the password from the user, and then we are checking if we already have our user based on this email and password. Based on this email. So if we already have the email already available inside our database, then we are checking for the password validations. So if the password is valid, what do you want to do? We just want to create a new token based on that password, and we are now specifying the existing user and ID to that, and finally we are just showing something to the user. So if that's not the case, so we are just providing like invalid password, or if that's not the case, we are just providing like user not found. So now let me just test this out by using the Postman. Now let me just save that, and here we are working with login, or user login would be fine. Okay, so we are now logging this specific user inside. Well, first of all, let me just show you the cookies. Now if I click on that, here we already have that, but now let me just close that from here. I'm gonna just close this entire thing right here. Now let me just go into my login user once again, and now let me just click on this cookies right here, and here you can see we have a 0 cookies right here. But as soon as I pass the email and also the password, and now if I click on this send button right here, it's gonna just show us like this user is now successfully logged in. And now if I click on the cookies, here you can see it's gonna just give us that JWT cookie which we are already creating right here. Let me just show you that, which we are already creating right here. So we have a JWT cookie right here which we are providing. So we have a response.cookie. So we have a response.cookie, and we're now providing a JWT cookie right here, and this is going to be our value right here. Okay, so yeah, we are now creating our cookie, but now I want to just click on these cookies right here, and here you can also see we are now successfully logging in this specific user. So yeah, we are now setting the cookie, which means like we are now successfully logging in this specific user. So now what I want to do is that I want to close that. Now let me just reopen that once again, and now let me just click on the cookies once again. So here you can see we already deleted that cookie. Now I want to log in some other user, like I don't know, myself or something like that. I'm gonna just log in myself. So we have a Hossein, we also have Hossein12, and now let me just click on this send button one more time, and it's gonna just give us that same, not same, but totally different cookie right here. And now let me just click on that, and here you can see it's gonna also give us. So yeah, this is how we are going to be logging in a specific user. Okay, so we are now totally done with this login as well. Now let me take care of the logging out. Okay, so now let me just duplicate that, and instead of writing an auth, we are going to be just writing a log out, and here it should be the log current user. I'm gonna copy that, and let's just place it right here, and we're going to be creating this controller in a few seconds. I'm going to copy this name. Now let me just go ahead and provide it right here, and now let me just create that controller. So we're going to be just creating like logout, not log current user, but log out the current user. I'm going to copy that, or I'm going to copy this entire name. Let's just place it right here, save our file, and I'm going to also place it right here in both of these areas, save our file. But now we have to provide our asynchronous handler. So we have to just write async handler. We have to provide our async request response, and inside there we're going to be just using our rest.cookie. We're going to be just providing a JWT because we are working with the JWT, and we are just providing the empty cookie. Okay, and we are going to be also providing the HTTP only, which will be also set to true, and we are going to be just providing the expiration date. So expires at new date, providing this same second. Finally, we just have to show some sort of a response to the user, like yeah, we are totally logged out. So I'm going to just write like message, and here we just have to write like logged out successfully. There we go. So now let me just save that, and now let me just test this out. So I'm going to just save that, and here you can see we have this JWT right here. But now let me just close that. We are going to be creating yet another request right here. I'm going to just give it the name of like log out. It should be also a post request. And now let me just copy that same thing, and now let me just place it right here, collapse that, and instead of writing auth, we are going to be just writing like log out. Here you can see we already have this JWT right here, but now if I click on that, so it's going to just give us that result right here, like logged out successfully. And here you can also see inside the cookies we don't have any cookies right here. Okay, so now let me just save that. Let's just close there. Let me just reopen that once again, and then if I click on this cookies one more time, and here you can see that cookies are totally gone. Okay, so yeah, this is how we are going to be logging out the user. So now let me just show you this entire flow one more time. Okay, so here you can see this how we are going to be logging in the user login. I'm providing my email and also the password credential. Now let me just click on there. So it's going to just set this cookies, and here you can see we have this cookie. And now if I click on these cookies, so we already have one cookie right here, which is totally okay. And now let me just close there. And now let me just go ahead and go to my logout and click on this cookies right here. So we have this JWT cookie, and now if I click on this send button, we would not see this cookie right here inside this cookie. And if I click on this cookies right here, and here you can see that cookie is totally gone. Okay, so yeah, this is how we're going to be logging out the user. So let me just rename that to user logout or something like that, and rename that to user log out. There we go. Now let's talk about how we are going to be getting all of the users inside our database. So for that, what do you want to do? And yeah, for that we're going to have to first of all import our middlewares, which is the authenticated and the authorized. So we're going to have to first of all import the something from, let's just go ahead and go to not a config but middlewares. Then we have to go to the auth middleware right here, and we're going to be importing our authenticate and also the authorized as an admin. And now we are going to be just creating yet another .get right here, because we are getting the users. So in this case the user should be authenticated and also authorized as an admin. So authorized as an admin, then they would be able to see all of the user. The regular user cannot be able to see all of the users. The users should be authenticated and also authorized as an admin, then they would be able to see all of the users. So we're going to be just writing like all the users. Come on, get all users like that. I'm gonna copy that, and now let me just place that right in here, save my file, and now let me just copy this name. Let me just go ahead and create that right here, but first of all we have to register that. And now let me just create that right here. So const get all the users. We're going to be providing our async handler, and we have to just specify the asynchronous request and also the response. And now inside there we're going to be just using a mongoose method. So we're going to be just writing like users aware user.find, and we're going to be getting all of the users. So now let me just write like res.json and users. Save my file, and now let me just test this out. So I'm going to be just creating get all the users. So now let me just write like all users right here, and now let me just close that. And by the way, I have to copy that. I always forget that. So now let me just copy that and place it right here. And here we are not going to be just writing a logout, we are using the get methods. So it's going to give us all of our users right here. And I just way zoomed in, I don't know why, but now let me just zoom in a bit like that. And now let me just click on this send button one more time. So it's going to, okay, not authorized, no token, because we are currently not authorized, like we're not providing our credentials. We have to first of all log in, and we also have to be an admin. So here you can see we are now getting like not authorized, no token, but now we have to be log in. Okay, so here you can see this how we are going to be logging in. We are now successfully logging in. We are getting this JWT cookie right here, which is totally okay. But now, come on, how the hell can I close that? But now if I try to get all of the users, it's going to give us a different warning. It's going to say like not authorized as an admin, like you have to be an admin, then you would be able to get all of the users. So now let me just make this Hussein as an admin. I'm going to go ahead and go to my MongoDB. Let me just find myself. So this is a Mango Jordan, and this is Hussein right here. Okay, so now let me just make myself as an admin. Let's just remove this false, and I'm gonna just set that to true, save my file, and now I am totally an admin. And now if I click on this send button right here, it's gonna give us all of their users right here, because currently I am logged in and I am also an admin, so that's why I can totally see all of the users and all of the users data right here. So yeah, so the admin can see every single thing. So this is how we are going to be getting all of the users, by using this user.find method. Okay, so yeah, now let me just close this one out. Now the next thing which I want to do is that I want to get a specific user profile. So underneath there we're going to be just creating like router.route, and it should be going into the profile, and we're going to be also changing the profile later. But right now the user should just be authenticated. The user should not be authorized as an admin, but the user should be authenticated. Then we would be able to get the current user profile. So now let me just copy that, and now let me just place that right here, save my file, and now let me just place that right here as well. And now let me just create that. So what I want to do is that I want to create my controller as the asynchronous handler, and we are going to be just also passing the async request and also the response as well. and here inside there we're going to be first of all getting the user by using the await and then user find by ID, and here we have to just specify request user and their unique ID right here. Okay, and then what else do you have to do? We have to check if you already have the user or not. Okay, so first of all, let me just show you there. I'm going to just log to the console this user, save my file, and now I'm going to go into the specific user, which is an Alex. I'm going to copy his ID right here. So now let me just test this out. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my Postman and create a new request, and here get specific user. Okay, so let's just copy that, place there, and it should be a get request, and we're not going to be using the auth, but instead we are going to be providing the user ID. So I'm going to copy this user ID one more time, which is an Alex. Copy there, and now let me just place it right here, click on the send button. So it's gonna just what's up, and I forgot to include the profile. So now let me just provide a profile and then hit enter right here. Still getting that error. Let's just check it out. So here you can see, let's just copy this profile, and instead of writing users, and let's just place this profile, but it's not working. And the user should be, the method is get, the user should be authenticated, and we're now get all of the user profile. We don't have to provide that specific ID, we just have to provide a users and profile. And now let me just click on the send button right here, and now let me just open my terminal. So here you can see it's going to give us that specific user ID right here. Okay, like the user which is already logged in. Okay, my bad. I was providing a unique ID right here. I was just thinking about something else. So now let me just close that. Now let me just save that. So why are we getting this specific user data? That's because we are logged in as this specific user. That's why we are now getting this specific user credential or this specific user information right here. Okay, so let's just close that. And yeah, that's totally okay. But you know what, get a specific user is totally okay. So yeah, we are now totally able to get the user credentials, and not a credential but the user information right here. And now what I want to do is that let me just remove this console.log from here, and here we have to first of all check if you already have the user. So we just have to write like res.json, and we have to just specify the user ID, and the user ID right here, the username will be just set to the username, and also the email will be set to user.email. Okay, so if that's not the case, if you don't have the user, so what do you want to show to a user? We just want to say like 404 user not found. So throw new error, and I am going to just say like user not found and dot. Okay, so now let me just save that, and let me just test this out. So now first of all, if I click on that, here you can see it's going to give us the user information right here. But if I click on these cookies and remove this cookie from here, and now if I click on this send button right here, so it's going to give us like not authorized, no token. It did not found a token, so that's why we are now getting this no token right here. Okay, so yeah, and this is how we are going to be getting a specific user or getting a specific user profile. But now let's talk about how we are going to be updating the user. So we are going to be just writing the dot put method right here, and the user should be authenticated, not authorized as an admin but just authenticated, and then update the current user profile. Now let me just copy that, save my file, and now let me just place it right here inside a controllers area. Let's just copy that, and I'm going to be just placing it right here. And now let me just create that controller. Let me just go back, and I'm going to be just creating this controller by using the asynchronous handler, and we have to provide our async request response, and inside there we're going to be just getting the user by using the await user find by ID. And let's just provide our request and then the user and then the specific user inside our database. So if we already have the user, so what do you want to do with that user? We just want to get the user and then the username, and it should be coming from the request.body.username. We are going to be specifying that. So if that's not the case, so we just want to stick to the default username. So we just have to write the user and then the username right here. Okay, so if the user already specified some sort of an email, so that email will be coming from the request.body.email. So if that's not the case, so we just want to stick to the older one or the previous one, which is just a regular user email. So inside there we're going to be providing yet another check, which will be if the user request.body, if the user also specify the password. So we just want to provide a salt, and we just want to use await and then bcrypt, and then we have a generate salt. We have to generate the salt, and we have to also hash the password. So we have a hashed password will be now equals to await and then bcrypt, and we have a hash password. We are going to be just providing the request.body.password which the user will give us. We're going to be also adding a salt to that, and then user.password will be equals to this hashed HASHED password right here. Okay, so now let me just save that. So this is totally okay. So now underneath that, we're going to be just updating the users. So I guess underneath this one, yeah, we're going to be just writing like updated user. It's going to be equals to await and then user.save. So we just have to save this updated user, and we also have to show some sort of a message to the user. So we're going to be just showing to the user ID, the email, like the name, the email, and also the password. Not a password, but if the user is admin or not. Okay, so now let me just take care of the else class. So for the else block, so what do you want to do? We just want to write a rest.status of status of 404, and let's just throw new error which will say user not found. Okay, so now let me just save that, and now let's just test this out. Let's just copy that, and I'm going to be creating yet another request right here, and let's just place that right here, and I'm gonna say update user, and it should be a put method. And now let me just go to the body, then go to the binary, not a binary but the raw, and we are going to be providing some sort of raw data right here. Okay, so what do you want to do? We logged in as, oh, we didn't even logged in, we have to be logged in. Okay, so let's just go ahead and log in as someone, Alex maybe. I'm gonna just log in as Alex, and we have the password of Alex12. And now let me just click on this send button. So we are not logging in. What's up? Hash is not defined. Where are we? Oh, we are not getting the hash. Let's just remove that like so. And where are we using when a hash? Now let me just save that, and here you can see everything is okay. Now let me just click on this button one more time, and we are now logging in as an Alex right here, which is totally cool. But now let me just go ahead and provide some sort of a JSON right here. So the first thing which I want to do is that I want to change the Alex name to something else. So let's just zoom in a bit, and we're now logged in as an Alex, but now let me just change the username to something else. So I'm going to be just providing like I don't know, computer. And I also want to change the email as well. So instead of writing alex@gmail.com, I'm going to just change that to computer@gmail.com. And I'm going to also change the password of the Alex. So I'm going to just change that to computer12. Okay, so now let me just first of all show you that. And here you can see we have an Alex name, then we have alex@gmail.com, and we have this password right here. But now let me just close this one as well, and we have that Alex on the top. And now let me just click on this send button right here. Let's just go back, and let me just show you that. So here you can see the username is now changed to computer, the email is changed to computer@gmail.com, and he is not an admin, so it is now set to false. And now let me just click on the first one once again, and here you can see instead of getting the Alex, we're now getting the computer, and also computer@gmail.com, and hashed password right here. That was a lot of talking. So yeah, that was it about for the backend of creating the user, updating the user, getting a user specific profile, getting all of the users and all of that kind of stuff, like how we're going to be authenticating and authorizing as an admin, how we're going to be creating a token and all of that. So yeah, that was just a backend part of how we're going to be managing our users. So we are totally done with the backend logic. Now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to use that same logic inside our React component and the UI. Okay, so now let me just go ahead and go to my weak config, and here we have to provide our proxy right here. Underneath that, we're going to be just creating a server, and inside the server we are going to be providing the proxy like that, and the proxy will be first of all for the API. And now let me just provide my HTTP and localhost of 3000. We're going to be, oh god, what the hell did I just do? Let me just retype that once again. So localhost of 3000, and now let me just provide a comma here. I'm gonna copy that same thing, and we are going to be also taking care of the uploads a bit later. But now let me just provide my uploads folder right here, and now let me just provide a proxy for that. Okay, so I just messed it up right here. Let me just place it right here. And this is how we're going to be providing a proxies for our Vite project. So now the next thing which you want to do is that we are going to be creating our folder structure right here. So I'm going to be just creating a let me just zoom in a bit, and I'm going to be just starting from the components, and inside they we're going to be just creating a loader components, loader.jsx. I'm going to take care of that in a few seconds, but now let me just create yet another folder which will be for the pages. Inside these pages we're going to have a few folders, and I'm going to just create first for the auth, and the second one will be for the user. And now let me just collapse that. Now let me just create yet another folder which will be for the Redux. So in this case Redux is a bit appropriate name, but in some situation people give it the name of like app, and yeah, you totally get the idea. And now let me just create another component inside this Redux folder which will be for the API. And now let's just create one for the feature or features, and now inside there we're going to be creating one for the auth as well. So that's there, but now let me just create my store inside this Redux folder, and I'm going to just give it the name of like store.js. And now let's just start from the store first of all. And what I want to do is that to create a store, first of all we have to just write a configure store function from where? From the Redux toolkit. Okay, so we are going to be grabbing there. First of all, let me just provide my curly braces right here, and underneath that we're going to be also grabbing our setup listener, setup listener, from where? From our Redux toolkit. And then we have to go into the query, come on, query, and then we have to just write React. Now let me just go back, and now underneath that we're going to be creating our store right here, and we're going to be just calling our configure store function, and inside there we're going to be providing our reducer, and in this case we are not going to be providing any reducers to it. And now let me just export default or store right here, and also the setup listener will be listening to the store.dispatch, something which I'm going to be doing in a few seconds. And you know what, I'm going to also provide my middleware right here for the cache. So middleware will be now equals to the get default middleware, come on, get default middleware, like so. And now what I want to do is that it's going to be set to the get default middleware one more time, and we are going to be calling there, and we are going to be just concatenating our API slice which we did not create, not right now, but we are going to be creating in a few seconds. Now let me just put my comma, and then we're going to be setting the dev tools to true. Okay, so now let me just go back, and that's every single thing that we need for the store. Okay, so yeah, that's that, but now we have to use the store inside our main component. So now let me just go to my main component, and the first thing we would need is to import the store. Let's just import that right here. Let's just go ahead and go to our store. You know what, one file, then we have to go to the Redux, then we have to go to the store right here, not API, but let's just write a store.js, and then we also have to import the provider. So I'm going to be just writing an import provider from where? From the React Redux. And the next thing which I want to do is that I'm going to be also using the React router. So I'm going to be just grabbing the router or route. First of all, let's just grab the route, and we're going to also have to grab the router provider and also the create routes from elements. Okay, so we're going to be getting that from the React router, and underneath that we're going to be also getting something called the create browser. Come on, let me just get the create browser browser router from where? From the React and router DOM. So we're going to need all of that stuff. And now let me just also provide a comment for the auth user and also for the restricted user. So restricted user. Now underneath all of them we're going to have to create our router. So we are going to be just writing like const router, and let's just use our create browser router, and it should be an uppercase B. Let's just make that as an uppercase B. I'm going to copy and place it right here, and now we have to use that. And now inside there we're going to have to pass or create routes from element right here. Inside there we're going to have to just pass our route. Okay, so now let me just close that, and it's going to take the path of home, and here we have to pass the element or the component as an app component, which we are, I guess, already grabbing right here. We are already grabbing that, so we are now providing a route right here. So now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, And now let me just remove this app from here. Inside this render method, we are going to be using our provider, and we are going to be binding our Redux store, which we are already grabbing. And inside there, we are going to be just providing our router provider, and we just have to provide our router, which we are already creating up above. Okay, so now let me just save there. And yeah, I guess that's every single thing that we need for now. But now let me just create a few components. Or first of all, let me just take care of the store, and then also this API slices as well. The first thing which you have to take care of the logging in and the logging out of the user. So we're going to have to go inside this auth, and inside this auth, we are going to be creating an auth slice.js. auth, come on, auth slice.js. And if you want to create a slice, so we're going to have to import the create slice from where? From the Redux toolkit. Okay, so we're going to have to just write a Redux toolkit. So it's going to just import that for us. And now let me just create my slice. So auth slice will be now equals to the create slice, and here inside there we're going to have to provide our name first of all, and the name in this case we are working with the authentication, so we're going to be just providing the auth. And yeah, then we have to provide our initial state. In this case, I'm not going to be creating my initial state right here, but what I want to do is that I'm going to copy there and create my initial state outside from there, because in this case we're going to be working with a lot of things. So we're going to have to first of all get the user info by using the local storage, and then we have to just write a get item, and then we're going to be just searching for the user info. If that's the case, what do you want to do? We just want to JSON parse, and then we just want to parse out our local storage and then get item of the user info. Come on, inside a string of a user info. There we go. And if that's not the case, we just want to set that to no. Okay, so now let me just save that, and we are already using that right here. And now the next thing which I want to do is that I want to create my reducers. So now let me just provide my reducers, and inside these reducers, the first action which we are going to be creating is the set credential, credentials, and we have to provide the state and also the action in this case. So now inside there, we're going to be just writing a state or user info will be now equals to the action dot payload. And now underneath there, we're going to be setting our data to our local storage. So we're going to be just writing like a local storage dot set item, and inside there we're going to have to pass our user information, and we are going to be just writing like user dot stringify, and we're going to be just passing our action and payload, which we already have inside the action. And we are going to be also providing the expiration date, so I don't want to type it out, so now let me just place that right here. And finally, we just have to use our local storage dot set item, and we have to just provide the expiration time, and the expiration time will be this expiration. Come on, let me just copy the name of that, and now let me just place it right here. And now that's it about how we are going to be setting the credentials. But now how we are going to be logging out a specific user. So now let's just create an action for that. So we're going to be just writing like a log out, and it's going to only take the state. And what I want to do is that inside a state, we're going to be searching for the user info, and I'm going to just set that to no. And I'm going to be also setting the local storage to totally clear, so it's going to just remove every single thing that we currently have inside our local storage. So now let me just export the set credentials and also this logout actions. I'm going to come to the bottom, and I'm going to be using export const, and let's just export our set credentials and also the logout function from where? From the auth slice and then actions with the s. And now I'm going to be also using export default of auth slice and then reducer, and now let's just register that inside our store. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my store right here, and the first thing which I want to do is that I'm going to be just importing my auth reducer. From where? From, let's just go ahead and go to the feature. Come on, not an API but a features, and inside this feature we have an auth, and inside the auth we have an auth slice right here, and we're going to be importing that. And now let's just use that right here inside the reducers, and I'm going to just say the auth property, and the value will be auth reducer. So now let me just save that, and that's totally cool. But now we also have to take care of the API for this authentication. So now we are totally done with that. And what I want to do is that inside this Redux folder, let me just zoom in a bit, I'm going to be creating yet another file. I'm going to give it a name of like constants. You don't have to do that if you don't like this convention, so you don't have to do that, but I'm going to be just extracting my constants, and I'm going to be putting that inside this constants file. So I'm going to just hit enter right here, and the first thing which I want to do is that I want to create a constant for the base base and URL is going to be equals to totally empty string. And why is that? Because inside our vite config we are already setting our API to a local host of 3000 right here, so that's why we can totally leave there as an empty string. Now let me just create a constant for the user's URL, and it's going to be equals to, first of all, let's just go ahead and go to the API, then the version 1, and then the users. Now let me just save that and close this file. And what I want to do is that I want to create a RTK query right here. So I'm gonna go into my API right here. The first thing which I want to do is that I want to create my API slice.js, and inside there we're going to be working with almost all of the RTK query, and inside this file we're going to be making a setup for our RTK query. So I'm going to just say like fetch base query. We're going to have to first of all grab that, then we have to just write a create API, and then we have to grab that from the Redux toolkit, and we're going to be getting that from the query and then the React. I'm going to go back, and underneath that we're going to also need to get our constant right here. From where? From, let's just go ahead and go to our constants, and we would just need our base, come on, base URL right here. Okay, so now we have to use that. Underneath that we're going to have to provide our base query. Come on, let's just make that as a constant, and then it's going to be equals to the fetch base query, and inside that we're going to be providing our base not base query but base URL, and it's going to be equals to our base URL like that. Now let me just save that, and that's totally cool. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we want to create our API slice. So we're going to be just writing like export and then const API slice will be now equals to the create API, and inside there we are going to be just providing our base query which we are already creating right here. Now let me just copy then, now let me just place it right here, and underneath that we're going to be defining our endpoints. So endpoints, and that endpoints will be coming from a separate file. You don't have to do that if you don't want to do that, but in my case I'm going to be creating a separate file for my endpoints, and we're going to be injecting that endpoints right here inside this file. So yeah, that was just a total setup for the RTK query. Now let's just remove that, and now let me just create another file for my users endpoint. So I'm going to be just creating a file given name of like user.js, and inside there the first thing which I want to do is that I want to get my API slice. From where, let's just go ahead and go to the API, API slice, and then we would also need to get the users URL from the constants right here. Now let's just use our export const of user API slice, and it's going to be coming from the API slice, and we are going to be injecting our endpoint. Inject the endpoints inside there. Okay, so what are we doing? First of all, what the hell is let's just remove that from here. So what are we doing? Let me just show you that. Here you can see we are providing our empty endpoints right here, and now we are going to be injecting all of our endpoints to this API slice right here. Okay, so now let's just do that. So what I want to do is that I'm going to be passing my endpoints, and inside there, first of all, let me just take care of the logging in the user. So builder.mutation, mutation, because in this case we are changing something, we are posting some data to our database. So for that we're going to have to just write a query. It's going to take a data, and now let me just use my function right here, and inside there we're going to be providing the URL, and in this case our URL will be coming from the users URL right here, and we specifically want to go to the auth, so that's why we are now providing the auth, and then we're going to be also providing the method of totally post method. Okay, so now let me just provide a comma here as well, and it should be a method. So now let me just make that as a method, and we are going to be also providing a body, and the body will be set to totally data. Let's just save that. Now let me just create a hook based on this endpoint right here. So I'm going to just write like export const, and we're going to be exporting something from the user API slice. So what are we doing? We are going to be just writing a use, and here you can see we have a user API slice. No, that's not something that we want. We have to just write a use login. What the hell is going on? We're now inside of endpoints. I don't know why, but it is not helping me in this case, but let me just do that manually. So I'm going to just write like use login, mutation, and yeah, I guess that should do it. Use login mutation would be fine. Now let me just save that, and yeah, this is how we are going to be creating our hook based on that. And now let me just use this somewhere, but before I do that, first of all, let me just go to my pages. And inside these pages, now let me just zoom in a bit. Inside these pages, we're going to be creating one file for the home.jsx. I'm going to just write a RAFCE and I'm going to just leave that the way it is. Okay, so I'm not going to touch that. And now the next thing which I want to do is that I'm going to go ahead and go to my auth. And inside this auth, we are going to be creating our login.jsx right here. Okay, so now let me just use my RAFCE, save my file. And now let me just go ahead and go to my main and register there right here. Okay, so we are doing every single thing that we're supposed to do, but now inside these routes, the first thing which I want to do is that I want to create a route, and I'm going to be just passing the index of true right here in this case. And now let me just provide a path of home right here, and we're going to be also passing the element of home or the component of home. And now let me just close that, and we also have to grab the home. So it's not going to do it for us, but we're going to have to do it manually, I guess. So now let me just import the home from where. Let's just go to my not component but pages, and then we have a home.jsx right here. Save my file, and here you can see it is giving us an error because we have to run npm run full stack. So now if I just write npm run full stack, so it's going to just run both the front end and also the back end. And now let me just refresh that right here, and it's gonna give us something. Let me just right click on there and click on a force dark, and that's looking cool. But why in the world we're not getting the home? You know, I'm gonna just right click on there and go to the inspect element, and we have nothing inside there. Then let me just go to the console, and we are getting something inside a store. Now let me just go ahead and go to the store, and yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to comment this line out for a few seconds. I'm gonna comment this line out, save our file, and refresh that. So the module query does not provide an export name, setup listener. Let's just comment this line out, and I'm gonna also have to comment this line out as well, save our file. What the hell is wrong? Let's just uncomment. Oh, I made a setup, but I did not configure it inside my store. That's the only thing I'm doing wrong. So now let me just go to my users, and here you can see we are creating the endpoint, and we are setting almost all of the RTK query, and we are even creating a hook based on that, but we are not registering that inside our store. And now let's just do that. Okay, so what I want to do is that to grab my API slice. Let me just hit enter right here, and now let me just place that right here, API slice, and then reducer path, reducer path, and it's going to be equals to, not equals to, but this is a property, and we have to provide a value of API slice and reducer. Now let me just provide a comma here, save my file, and we also have to remove this colon. From there, save our file. We also have to remove this there was a lot of errors. And now let me just refresh this. So we are now getting the internal server error, which is saying they're missing query. Yeah, so let's just search for that. I'm gonna have to copy that, and let's just search for this specific thing, and we're gonna have to grab that from the query. There we go. So now let's just save that, and we should be getting something, but we are not. Okay, the requested module and does not provide an export name, setup listener. It should be listeners with S. And now let me just copy that. Let me just place that right here, save my file, and refresh that. Still does not provide a name export store. So I guess I'm gonna have to go to my main, and we are doing something wrong inside a store. I'm going to just remove these curly braces from here. Let's just remove that, save my file. And here you can see we are getting our hello world right here, which is totally cool. But what I want to do is that we are now providing our home component right here. Inside this home component, we are first of all providing our app. We shouldn't be doing that. Let me just provide this, hit enter right here. But now let me just go to my app, and now let's just take care of the app component. The first thing which you want to do is that I'm going to go to the top, and then we are going to be getting the outlet from the React router DOM. So we are going to have to grab the React router DOM. Yeah, we're going to have to just get the outlet first of all. Then we have to get the toast container, because we are going to be also using the toast in this project. So we're going to just write the toast container from the React toastify, and then we have to just grab our CSS. So we're going to be just writing like React toastify, and then let's just go to the dist folder. Then we have to go to the React toastify.css right here underneath there. what I want to do is that I'm going to just remove this h1 from here, and I'm going to just passing my toast container, and also I'm going to just pass my main, and I'm going to just provide the padding for the y-axis of maybe 3 would be fine. So I'm going to just pass the padding for the y-axis of 3, and we are going to be just providing our outlet right here. So now let me just save that, and we're going to also have to provide our fragments so that we don't get these nasty errors. So now let's just provide that. And here you can see we are now getting the home right here. So that was the entire setup that we have to make. But anyways, we are not totally done with that, but we are going to also have to create a navigation right here at the bottom. Then we will be able to work with that. So what I want to do is that I'm going to go ahead and go to my auth. And inside this auth, we are going to be creating our navigation.jsx and navigation. And now let me just use my RAFCE. And here, we are going to be importing our navigation right here. So I'm going to just say like underneath there we're going to be grabbing our navigation. Let me just copy that, and underneath this toast container we are going to be just placing there right here, save my file, and here you can see we are getting our navigation right here, which is totally okay. And what we have to do is that we have to just design this navigation, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So the first thing which you have to do is that we have to import the useStat, not useStore but useStat from where? From the React.js. And then what do we have to do? We have to grab a lot of font icons from the React icons library, and we're going to be getting that from the AI. I'm not going to waste your time by writing all of them, so I'm going to just place them right in here. Okay, so we're going to be just using all of that, and now underneath there we're going to be also using this one as well. This is also a font which is coming from the MD folder, and we would also need the link from the React Router DOM, and we will also need to grab the use navigation as well. I mean like the use navigate, not navigation. Okay, and we will also need the use selector to read the data from the store. So we are going to be just writing the use selector, and also the use dispatch, dispatch, to change the data from the React router, not router but the Redux. And we would also have to get the use login mutation, which we already created. This is our own built-in hook, and then we also have to grab the log out. Okay, so we are going to be getting that from the feature, and then the auth slice. So we are now getting almost every single thing that we need right here. But now let me just create instances of that. So the first thing which I want to do is that we're going to be just grabbing the user info from where? From the use selector, and we're going to be just passing our stat right here, and we're going to be just writing a stat.auth, and underneath there we're going to be just creating a stat. So I'm going to just say like a drop down open. We're going to be creating a drop down menu right here, and then set drop down open, and it's going to be equals to the the use stat, and currently it's going to be set to false. And now underneath there we're going to be just creating a function for toggling that drop down. So toggle drop down in lowercase will be now arrow function, and we're going to be just writing like a set drop down open, and now drop down open. There we go. Now let me just create instances of both the dispatch, the use dispatch, and we are going to be just using the dispatch, and it's going to be equals to this use dispatch, and we are going to be also creating an instance of navigate. So we are going to be just writing a use navigate right here, and then we have to use our own hook, which is const logout API call from where? From the use logout mutation, and we are going to be just using that. And now underneath that, let me just save this file. We have to just write our JSX right here, and that's going to be a lot of JSX. So I guess I'm not going to waste a lot of your time by writing a lot of JSX, or a lot of classes rather. So I'm going to just remove this navigation from here, and now let me just provide a class name, and I'm going to just remove that and place these classes right here. So I'm going to just give you a few seconds to stop the video and write all of these classes by yourself, or you can go to my GitHub repository and grab all of these styling right here, and grab all of their styling from there, or you can just stop the video and just type it by yourself. Now inside there, what do you want to do? Let me just even save this file, and now inside there, what do you want to do? We are going to be just creating a section, and for this section we are going to be just writing a flex and justify between, and also the items will be set to totally center. And inside there we are going to be just creating two sections. We have a section 1 and section 2. So inside this section 1 we are going to be creating a div, So now let me just create a div, and I'm going to be just placing the class name to there, and we're going to be just placing these class names right here. Okay, so now inside there we're going to be just creating a link, and I'm going to just pass the 2, and it's going to just only go to the home. And now let me just provide some classes to it. And trust me, I'm not going faster because I want to save your time. Now let me just go back and save our file, and here you can see these are the only styling that you have to provide right here for this specific link. And now what I want to do is that I'm going to be just using the AI outline home. Okay, and we have to just specify the classes to it. So we have to just write a margin for the right of 2, margin for the top of 3 rem, and we also have to provide some sort of a size for that. So I'm going to just specify the size of 26, and now underneath that we're going to be also providing a span of total home. And now let me just provide a class name of hidden, and also the nav item name, and also the margin for the top will be set to, let me just provide 3 rem right here. Okay, so now let me just save that, and the use state is not a function, or it's not a return iterable. Okay, we are not even using the use state, so why in the world we are going to be needing that? Oh, I forgot to destructure that. Now let me just save that and refresh that. So here you can see we are getting our navigation right here, and everything is okay. And if I click on that, so it's gonna just brings us to this home right here. Anyway, so that was just a small little silly bug that I just fixed. Now underneath this link we are going to be creating yet another link, and it's gonna go to the movies page, which we did not create, not right now, but we are going to be creating that in a few seconds. Now let me just provide a class names to that, and here you just have to provide these class names right here. Okay, so now let me just save that, and I want you to just pause the video and provide these classes to that. And now inside this link we are going to be just writing like MD outline, and then their movies right here. We have to just write our classes of margin for the right of 2, margin for the top of 3 rem, and we also have to provide some sort of a size for that. So the size in this case will be also 26 size. And now let's just close that. We're going to be also providing a span of shop in this case. And now let me just provide a class name of the class name of hidden, and also the nav item name, and margin for the top will be set to 3 rem. Okay, so now let me just close that. Let's just close that as well. So now let me just save that, and here you can see we are getting this movies icon right here. If I click on that, so it's gonna just brings us to these movies right here, which we did not create, not right now. So yeah, that's cool. But now let's just take care of the section 2. So I'm going to just hit enter right here. Let me create a div, and I'm gonna just give it the class of relative. And inside this div, relative, and inside this div we are going to be creating 2 buttons, or 1 button right here. So when somebody clicks on this button, so we're going to be just passing this drop down function which we already created up above. Now let me just provide a class names of text of totally gray of 800, and also the focus will be set to outline of none. And now inside this button, what do you want to do? We just want to check if you already have the user info. So what do you want to do in that case? Let me just hit enter right here. We just want to create a span, and let me just create that span right here manually. And we're gonna have to provide a class names of text of totally white. And now inside there we are going to be just providing the user info dot name, or username rather. And if that's not the case, like if the user did not specify, I mean like if you don't have the users, so then we don't have to provide nothing and just empty fragments. So yeah, that's it. And underneath there I'm going to be placing a bit of code, but I want you to bear with me, and I am going to give you a lot of time to write that code. So now let me just write a user info. So if you already have the user info, and then just do something. If you don't have that, then do another thing. Okay, so now if we have the user info, so we are going to be just placing this SVG right here, and you can find this SVG in my GitHub repository. So here you can see what we are doing is that we are just passing the entire SVG, and we are now passing this class totally dynamically. So if we already have the drop down open, so for that we're going to be just writing the transform and the rotate of 180 degree. And if that's not the case, we are going to be just setting that to empty string, and we are just filling that with no colors. We are not providing, I mean like we are providing a bit of view box to it. You can totally specify icon right here in this case, but in my case I'm not going to be doing that because this is just a simple drop down which I just created right here. Oh, you know, it should be just only one case, it should not be more than that. So now let me just remove that from here and just provide our SVG right here. And there you have it. Underneath this button, what do you want to do? We just want to create yet another drop down menu right here. So drop down menu and the user info, and then do something with that. So inside there we're going to be just creating our UL, and for this UL we are going to be defining a lot of classes right here, but their classes will be dynamic. So I'm going to just provide the absolute right here, and the right will be set to totally 0. Margin for the top will be set to 2, the margin for the right will be set to 14, and width will be just totally 10 rems. And I'm going to also specify the space of y-axis will be set to 2, and I'm going to also say the background will be set to totally white, and text will be gray of 600. And inside there we're going to be just rendering if we don't have the user info and is admin. If the user is admin. So if the user is not an admin in this case, so what do you want to do? We just want to write the top value to 20, and then if the user is admin, so then we just have to write a top of 24. Okay, so now inside there, what do you want to do? Let me just scroll down. Inside there we're going to be just writing like if the user is admin, so is admin. And inside there we're going to be just writing our fragment, and here we just have to specify our li, and let's just provide our link. And for this link it's going to just go to first of all the admin, and then it's going to go to the movies, and then it's going to go to the dashboard, which we did not create, not right now, but we will create that in a few seconds, not in a few seconds but later. Okay, so it's going to be totally block, and also the padding for the x-axis will be set to 4, padding for the y-axis will be set to 2. And when somebody hover there, so we're going to be just changing the background color of that to totally gray of 100, and here it should be just a dashboard. This is going to be only happening for the admin user, not for the regular users. So yeah, that's cool. But now underneath there, what do you want to do? We just want to create li, yet another li right here, and I'm going to just say the li, and inside this li we would have yet another link, and it's going to just go to the profile. Now let me just put a class name to that. It should be block. Padding for the x-axis will be set to 4, padding for the y-axis will be set to 2. When somebody hovers over there, background will be set to totally gray of 100, and inside this link we are going to be just writing a profile. Okay, and then underneath this li we're going to be creating yet another li, and inside this li we're going to be creating a button. When somebody clicks on this button, we're going to be just creating a log out handler, which we did not create, not right now. And we are going to be also providing a classes like block, and width will be set to 4, padding for the x-axis will be 4, padding for the y-axis will be 2, text will be set to totally left. And when somebody hover over there, we are going to be changing the background color to totally 100. For the label, we are going to be just writing a log out. Let's just save there. We have to also create that function up above. We have to check if we don't have the user info, and what do you want to do? We just want to provide a li, like a ul, when the user did not logged in. So we're going to be just showing this UI to the user like flex first of all, and inside there we're going to be just writing a li, and we're going to also have to create a link, and it should go to the login page. And now let me just put a few classes right here, and I'm going to just place these classes right here, and you have to do the same. Now inside this link we just have to write our AI outline login, not a home but log in, and we have to specify the classes of margin for the right will be set to 2, margin for the top will be just set to 4 pixel. And now let me just provide a size of 26. Let's just close there. Underneath there we're going to be also providing a span, and it should be a login in uppercase. And now here we're going to be just providing a hidden class, and the nav item will be set to name. And the final li which you have to take care of is going to be another li, and we're going to have exactly the same link, but it should go to the register. So now let me just write a register right here, and we are going to be also providing these same classes. So now let me just remove that, and now let me just place these classes right here, and inside this link we are going to be just writing like AI outline user add. Okay, and the size will be set to 26. Let's just close there. And what the hell did I just do? I'm just getting tired a lot. So now let me just write a span, and it should be register. And here we just have to write a class name, not in uppercase but in lowercase. Hidden and nav item will be set to totally the name. Okay, so we also have to close that. Save my file, and I guess that's every single thing that we need for now. Here you can see this how currently our navigation looks like, but I'm going to change the UI a bit later. So if I click on that, so it's going to bring us to the movies. But now if I click on this button right here, so it's going to bring us to a login page. And now if I click on this register button, so it's going to just brings us to this register page right here, which we did not create, not right now. So we are now getting the home right here, which is totally okay. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we wanted to go ahead and go to our main, and inside this main we are going to be registering or making a specific routes for the login component, and we are going to be also creating yet another component which will be the register.jsx, registr.jsx, and we are going to be just using the RAFCE for now. Let's just save there, and we already have our login component right here. And now let me just grab that right here. So I'm going to be using the login. Let's just grab that, and we're going to be also using the register component as well. And now what I want to do is that I want to just place it right here, just create a separate route for that. So I'm going to be just using the route. Let me provide a path for that, and we are going to be going into the login, and as an element we are going to be just passing, or let me just pass my element not element but our login right here. Let's just close that, and let me just close this component as well. Now let me just save that, and what I want to do is that I want to just click on this button right here, so it's going to just brings us to this login. And here you can see we are now getting our login right here, which is totally amazing. But now we also have to register or register component as well. So now let me just duplicate that, and instead of writing a login, we are going to be just writing our register, not React DOM but register, and we are going to be also changing that to register component. So now let me just save that. Let's just refresh that. And now let me just click on this person, and it's gonna just gives us that register component right here, which is totally amazing. So yeah, that's it about how we are going to be grabbing stuff. But now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to create our register component. So we are going to need a few things to grab from our store, and also the stat and all of that. So the first thing we would need is the use stat and also the use effect, because we are going to be using both of them. So now let me just write a link, and also the use location, not this one, LOCATION, and also the use navigate from where, from the React router DOM. Okay, so we're gonna need that, and we would also get the use dispatch and also the use selector to just interact with our stores. Now let me just wrap that inside a curly braces, and we are going to be just grabbing that from the React and Redux. Okay, now underneath that we're gonna also need our loader, which we defined but we did not create that. So we're going to be just grabbing our loader from our components folder. So now let me just go ahead and go to my components folder, and we're going to be grabbing our loader from there. And we're going to be also grabbing our set credential, CREDENTIALS, from where, from, let's just go ahead and go to our feature. I'm going to go ahead and go to my Redux first of all, and then we are going to be going into the features, and inside this feature we have auth, and then we have our auth slice right here. Now let me just provide a curly braces inside there, and now let me just go ahead and go inside there. I'm going to copy that, let me just place that right here, save our file. And finally we're gonna also need the Toastify, so I'm going to be using like what the hell did I just do? We're going to be just writing our toast, and we're going to be getting that from the React, come on, from the React and Toastify. There we go. So now let me just save that. So that's every single thing that we currently need right now. But I want to go ahead and go to my Redux, and inside this Redux we're going to have to go to the API, and then I want to go to the users. And now underneath this login we're going to be defining yet another query, not a query but our endpoint, and I'm going to just write a register, and it's going to be a builder.mutation, because we are sending some sort of a data to our database. So that's why it should be mutation, not a query. And we're going to be just writing a query, and we're going to be passing our data, and inside this data we are going to be just passing first of all the URL, and the URL will be just a user's URL, which we already defined. And now let me provide my comma, and we're going to be also providing the method of post, because we're going to be posting some sort of a data right here in this case. And finally we just have to provide our body. Let me just do that in a lowercase body, and we have to just specify our data, which we are already defining or grabbing as a perimeter right here. So now we successfully create our endpoint, and now let me just provide a comma here, and if I just use the use keyword, so it's going to give us that use register mutation. So now let me just copy that, save this file, and then let me just go ahead and go to my register component, and now let me just grab that. So I'm going to be just using the import, and we're going to be just grabbing this same hook from where, from, let's just go ahead and go to our Redux. So I'm going to just go to my Redux, and inside there we're going to have to go to the API, then we have to go to our users right here. So now let me just save that. And now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to create a lot of states. So const first of all for the username, because if you want to create the user, we're going to have to get some sort of a name from the user. So it should be set username, rather set user, like that, or you know what, it should be in lowercase, so set username or something like that is going to be equals to the use stat, and we're going to be just defining the totally empty string. We would also need to get the email from the user, so we are going to be just writing a set email, and it's going to be also equals to the use stat of totally empty string. And underneath that we're going to be also need one for the password, and set password, and then it's going to be equals to the use stat. And inside there we're going to be just defining our initial set of empty string, and then const for the confirmation password. So const confirm password, and also set confirm pass, come on, PASSWORD will be now equals to the use stat, and it's going to be equals to totally empty string. We're going to need the dispatch, and it's going to be equals to the use dispatch, and we're going to be just executing that. And then finally we would just need the navigate, and it's going to be equals to our use navigate hook. And now let's just call that. And now underneath that we're going to be grabbing our register hook, or register function rather, from our use register hook. So I'm going to be just using the use register mutation, and then we're going to be just using or array destructuring syntax right here. So I'm going to just write like const, and it's going to be equals to register. We're going to be grabbing our register function, and we are going to be also grabbing the is loading property from there. So underneath that we would also need the user information, so we are going to be getting that from the stat, and we already defined that inside a stat and auth. And now let me just destructure that. So I'm going to be just using the user info, and it's going to be equals to this use selector. And now underneath that we would also need the search. So now let me just use the search. We are going to be destructuring the search from the use location, and now let me just execute that. And we would also need to use our search perimeter, so I'm going to just write a sp for search perimeter, and it's going to be equals to the new URL search params. And now here we are going to be just passing our search, which we are already grabbing from the use location. So then we have to just redirect the user, so redirect the user by using the search perimeter, and then we are going to be just providing the get to that, and then redirect the user, or outside from that just redirect the user to the home page. Okay, so now underneath that we're going to be also defining our use effect, and here we just have to provide our arrow function right here. As for the dependency array, we are going to be defining first of all the navigate, and we would also need to define the what do we call the redirect, and also the user info as well. And now okay, the spelling is incorrect, NAVIGATE. So now let me just copy that, and now let me just place that right here, navigate, there we go. Okay, so now the spelling is totally correct. But now the next thing which you want to do is that we are going to be just searching for the user info. If you already have the user info, so what do you want to do? We just want to navigate the user, not like that, but navigate the user to the redirect. Okay, now underneath all of that we're going to be just defining a lot of JSX right here. So I'm going to just provide a class name of padding for the left of 10 rem. I'm going to change that to something else, like the UI doesn't matter. But yeah, here inside there we are going to be just writing a margin for the right first of all, and it's going to be just, I don't know, 4 rem or something like that. And we're going to be also defining the margin for the top of 5 rem, and inside there we're going to be just using our h1 of text to XL, and also the font will be semi bold, come on, semi bold, and margin for the bottom will be set to 4, and we're going to be just defining the register. There we go. So now let me just save that, and now let me just refresh that right here, and we are not getting anything. I don't know why, but we are not getting anything at all. So we have a use dispatch, we have a set confirmation password, and nothing is happening. Let's just see our errors, and we have 16 errors. Wow, that's a lot. You know what, I'm gonna take care of that because they're just a name conflicts. And let's just refresh that. We're not seeing anything. Let me just go ahead